It really starts to add up, doesn't it? And $150,000 for the summertime, for the baseball season, football, whatever your kids are involved in, would come in really, really handy. Help cover accommodation costs, food costs, registration costs, all that type of stuff. And in turn, you're helping out the community of Assiniboia. 85 chances to win the first 30 draws this weekend. The $150,000 will be drawn for in May. Grab your tickets right now so you're in for all 85 draws. 1-888-289-3276. 1-888-289-3276.
For everything hockey, head to Extreme Hockey and Sports. Spring hockey is around the corner. Get fitted to your specs with the best team at Extreme Hockey. Be sure to check out Umbrella Marketing and Tarrington and his team for all your team, corporate, and business needs. Corporate or work event? Check out our custom Yeti and engraving options. Make any occasion a special one. Extreme Hockey and Sport, 1425 McIntyre Street, and the Pro Shop conveniently located at the Cooperator Center.
I'm Michael Cram, Member of Parliament for Regina Wascana. Who's really on Saskatchewan's side? The Liberals? They imposed a carbon tax, clawed back our healthcare transfers, and cancelled pipelines. The NDP? Jagmeet Singh always took Trudeau's side, keeping him in power so he could get his pension. Your Conservative MPs fight the carbon tax, support Saskatchewan's energy workers, and defend our health payments. Only Conservatives are always on Saskatchewan's side.
Hey, we're Harvard Media. A few times a year, we love to get together with our favorite businesses and throw a good old-fashioned classic auction.
Oh.
There's nothing like waiting until the last minute, battling out other bidders, and claiming your prize. We're looking for businesses to join up for our next one. All we need from you is an experience, service, or item like a gift card. In return, we'll serve you up a top-tier ad campaign. No cash needed. This is a trade deal. Check out harvardmedia.com for info. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey farmers, Canada's Farm Show is here. Are you ready? Come on down and meet Core Green March 18th, 19th, and 20th in booths 11359 and 11386 to chat with our experts about smarter grain storage and handling solutions. Core Green is your trusted partner for grain storage solutions across the prairies, dedicated to offering you the best grain storage and handling systems. We work tirelessly to customize grain monitoring and conditioning systems to fit your specific vineyard plan, now and in the future. Core Grain, doing the right thing for your farm. See you at Canada's Farm Show.
It's time to turn up the heat on trades at Crestview. For a limited time, get a $2,500 trade-in bonus on any trade-in. We're going to work to get you the same or similar payment to what you got right now. And we got something for everybody. Over 200 brand new vehicles, Jeeps, Rams, Caravans, and so much more. Plus, Capital's 100K giveaway is back in Crestview. Check out capital100k.ca for your chance to win. We're turning up the heat on trades at Crestview Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Proud member of the Capital Automotive Group.
SaskToday.ca is your local news source, proudly serving communities all across Saskatchewan. Sask Today's team of local journalists are on the ground focusing on local topics that matter to you. From agriculture, local community news, sports, and more. Find it all at SaskToday.ca. Sign up for our daily news digest at SaskToday.ca. From Harvard Media, everywhere.
Sportscage is live streaming from our Century Studios in downtown Regina. Watch now at sportscage.com and our YouTube channel. Be part of the show by texting 306-936-6262. 620 CKRM.
Southern Saskatchewan Senior, you've got the Lumsden Monarchs playing the Raymore Rockets in Game 2 of their QVHHL playoff series. Lumsden is up 1-0. Face-off tonight in Lumsden will go at 8 o'clock. Saskatchewan Midget AAA in Swift Current. The Legionnaires taking on the Warriors. Face-off there goes at 7:30. With a win tonight, Swift Current can move on to the next round to take on the Pat Seas. Pat Seas beat the Blazers last night, advancing to the AAA final. Todd Horning, we've reached out to the coach of the Swift Current Legionnaires, try to get him on the radio between 4:30 and 5. So waiting for confirmation on that. And tonight at Fort Capel, Fort Knox is taking on the Regina Capitals. Prairie Junior Hockey League. Fort Knox is up 2-0 in this playoff series. Caps need a win tonight to make this thing close and give them a shot. Fort Knox has been a wagon all season, and I don't think you can go down 3-0 and expect to come back and to win 4 against a very, very good Hockey Club. It's Maz here. Let's bring in Dave Thomas, Western Pizza Guest Hotline. It's a busy weekend. Football, CFL Combine, taking over Regina. The future stars of the CFL. Who will be the next ones that will be, as some like to call it, starring in the Underwear Olympics, as they will do things such as the cone drill? Is it the 40-meter dash, Dave, or is it the 40-yard dash? Like, we use meter sticks, not yardsticks, right?
No, it's the 40-yard. They're running the 40-yard. Yeah.
Are you not Team Canada? Come on. Let's get this right. There's changes we need to make. Let's start now. Rip the Band-Aid off.
Okay, so you're telling me we want to change from a 110-yard field. So what is that in meters? So can you imagine that, trying to go ahead and put a football field in meters, and instead of a first down needing 10 yards, it's first down in what, 1.6 or something, right?
Listen, what I'm suggesting is not the craziest thing I've said or read online in the past couple weeks, all right? If you're not ready to wrap yourself in the flag for Team Canada, should you even be in this country? That's all I'm saying. Wow. All jokes aside, CFL Combine coming up this weekend. How many players got these precious invites? Because there's more young studs in Canadian junior football and university football than they're be flying in over the next 48 hours to YQR.
Yeah, in total, there's going to be 92 different players from across the country. There will be a couple of globals that are thrown in there as well, global players, obviously. So 92 in total will be ready to go take in the physical testing, as well as the 4 practices that are going to be held over the weekend, where there'll be one-on-one drills and pass catching and defending and so on and so forth. And then my favorite part, that we'll never ever know about, but some teams actually opened the curtain on a little bit last year, taking you behind the scenes of their interview processes, and all the athletes will undergo that on Friday afternoon. So it'll be a busy 3 days for the athletes. The CFL football operations teams, though, will be arriving in Regina over the next 24 hours or so, as they'll get together beforehand, and then of course they'll be in one another's way evaluating talent throughout the course of the weekend.
Who's the consensus top 3 that's going to be in town this weekend? Like, as far as, they're going to be locks to get drafted probably within the first or second round.
Well, see, that's really hard to say. Why is it hard to say? It's because the CFL draft is it's almost like a living organism, if you will, because you look at the draft and any other league, right? You're basically going to go ahead and either fulfill a need or pick the best available player. But with the Canadian Football League, from what I learned last year in following it closer than I ever had before, is that there's also that third dimension as to, did I get drafted in the NFL or not? And if not, am I going to be working out with a team? And if I am working out with a team, what are the odds that they're going to keep me on the practice roster? So am I willing to use one of my cherished draft picks to draft a guy that I might not see for an awful long time? Or am I going to find someone that I am confident is going to come into the game, into the league, and make my team better in the next year and years to come? So that's the part of it that is such a crapshoot with the CFL. And what I think is going to be very interesting is just, you'll be able to see who the CFL types are following, right? Who are the coaches? Who are the general managers? Who's caught their eye on the field? Who are they focusing on? And that, to me, is going to be the telltale sign. So, yeah, you know what? There's some amazing athletes. Like, I know Curtis Rourke, who isn't going to be here. He's definitely going to get consideration high in the first round, I would assume. But is anybody willing to roll the dice on a fact that he may never, ever come to the Canadian Football League?
Yeah, like there's a guy named Jeremiah Ojo. He's a D lineman, Montreal Carabins. Yep. He'd make any CFL team better. But here's the thing, like you had just said, do you risk taking a high draft pick? There's a good chance he's going to get, if he doesn't get drafted in the NFL, he could be a free agent signing and maybe explore that route as long as he can until that road isn't there anymore. He comes back. So is that 6 weeks, 6 months, or 6 years? You don't know. And with so few draft picks, and you do kind of have to restock the cupboard a little, that's the hard part. Like, I just wish you, as a selfish fan, you wish that some of these guys, like Kyle Hergel last year, who ended up with New Orleans and ended up staying with New Orleans, we could have used that O-line help last year. He would have been starting almost immediately, because that's who that he's a highly touted offensive lineman, and the disaster we had at O-line, but pursuing the NFL dream. So selfishly as fans, I would like it differently, but you understand this, that these guys are going to try and make a career of it. So yeah, who's good enough to make the CFL roster, good enough to get NFL attention, but potentially not get too much attention? That's a delicate balance.
Oh, absolutely it is, right? And can you imagine having tried to weigh that in your draft war room, right? Like, well, we've got an indication that this guy is going to go here or going to go there. Of course, the NFL draft does happen before the CFL draft, so that removes some of that mystery. But again, you're going to be talking with your contacts throughout football, right? Hey, have you heard, is this guy going to take a look here? Is he going to go there? So there's a lot of different variables that makes the Canadian Football League, and you alluded to it at the start of the conversation. We want to be unique, and that is a definite uniqueness to the Canadian Football League, and that the first overall draft pick may never, ever play it down in the Canadian Football League.
Yeah. And I'm sure that it's a question that probably all 9 teams ask. Hey, if given the opportunity, and I'm sure that everyone's going to answer, yes, I would love to be part of a CFL club and continue my football career. But you'd have to think the bright lights, the big city, and the money of the NFL, and just the allure of it all. I mean, it's not that they're not telling the truth, but if you were to dangle both carrots, I kind of know which one that them and their agent would probably choose.
Well, and I don't want to sound disparaging against the Canadian Football League, right? Forever ago when I was a player, and I wasn't a very good player, but I dreamed of playing in the Canadian Football League. The National Football League wasn't the powerhouse, the big advertising agency that it is now, right? And today, if you ask a football athlete, what would be the pinnacle that you would want to achieve in your football dream? A lot of them would say the National Football League. If you asked a hockey player, it would be the National Hockey League. But when you're a hockey player and you're turning pro and you have an opportunity to play in the American Hockey League, you definitely are going to do that. Now, again, this is apples and oranges, but not a lot of kids grew up in Weyburn, Saskatchewan saying, I wanted to play for the Bakersfield Condors growing up. They wanted to play for the Edmonton Oilers. So conversely, there's a lot of athletes, hey, you know what? I would really love to play for the Dallas Cowboys. Instead, they end up playing for the Montreal Alouettes. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just two different dreams, right?
Could you imagine if someone was honest enough in their interview to say they wanted to play for the Dallas Cowboys? That right there, you should kick that guy out of the interview room and just be like, listen, man, you're delusional. Good luck, but you're never going to be part of our club. Tell Jerry Jones to say hi.
Winning isn't a priority for me. That's what you're telling me right now.
He wants to go start a Twitter feud with Micah Parsons.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, we've heard this said before. Best player available for the Saskatchewan Roughriders when it is their turn to draft. And we're drafting in what position again to refresh us for at home who we haven't been paying psycho attention? Yeah. I'd like to see this turn out to be a little more NHL-y, where maybe there's some draft deals done, maybe at the combine here as we lead up to the big day.
Well, that's so hard to pull off in the Canadian Football League. You will see players, flipped in and out of spots and picks flipped in and out of spots. But the one thing that hasn't been defined yet, right, from the Canadian Football League is how many picks are there going to be in the first round? Because we already know that Edmonton doesn't have a first round pick because they made a supplemental draft pick last year. So they've forfeited their first round pick. Plus there's how much money did the BC Lions really spend, right? Because if the reports are true out of BC, they'll have to surrender their first round pick as well for superseding the CFL's salary cap. So I'm guessing there's probably going to be 7 picks in the first round, right?
Yeah. So I get it. Best player available at the time when they draft. It wouldn't be a bad thing from this fan's perspective. I do like, offensive linemen are great, but a good Canadian D lineman that hopefully you could turn into a 3, 4, 5, 6 year type of guy to anchor the D line. We kind of have been lacking that. We haven't had one of those long-term success stories. That wouldn't be a bad thing. J.O. has done a wonderful job at receiver. Sam Emelis, who was on the show yesterday with Barney, I mean, that's a home run. All that doesn't matter what else Sam Emelis does, home run. Del Duncan Busby last year, home run. Mitch Picton. Like there's all right. So we've got that. I would like D-line. What are you thinking? I mean, you're in the booth. You're watching this closer than anybody else. Where do you want to see them go?
Well, when I look at the Canadian Football League draft, the way that I look at it, the successful teams, what they do is they've got a game plan as far as where they see their rosters fitting and or settling in over the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right? Because the Canadian Football League draft, a lot of times you are not building for tomorrow, you're building for tomorrow's tomorrow. Sorry, that's a bad cliche. But if you look at, for example, let's take the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, right? They identified that, okay, we've got a stud in Andrew Harris that's going to be able to carry the mail for us for a number of years. So let's go ahead and let's say that that's going to be a Canadian or a national spot on our roster. We've identified that. Moving forward, we have to build depth behind him, right? So you go ahead and you bring in Brady Oliveira. Then there's Johnny Augustine. So again, you're starting to build that pipeline for that position that you've identified as that is going to be one of strength for us. The Saskatchewan Roughriders, again, really, you go back in time, and historically, one of the things that really hurt, in my mind, the Saskatchewan Roughrider franchise was the Ottawa Red Blacks expansion draft. Because if you go all the way back, remember, they took Keith Shulligan as well as Zach Evans on the defensive line, 2 Canadians that we had put into that pipeline. So all of a sudden, we needed to find an American starter. Yeah. Absolutely. So for me, when it comes to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, obviously you've identified wide receiver, offensive line, and now the secondary as positions that you are looking to fill and plug Canadians into your starting jobs. So to me, that would support the idea and or the notion that, okay, maybe I'm going to see what best available athletes there are when it comes to receiver, offensive line, and defensive backs. And there are some dandies across the board, including 7 kids with Saskatchewan ties that are coming in. 3 of them are defensive backs. So that really, really intrigues me. Not also to say the guy that I think that is quite intriguing, Isaiah Knight out of UBC. I'm interested to see how he's going to test. And yes, I do have an affinity for Canada West players, so please bear with me if I'm not going down to the Eastern Conference. But the other guy that I think is really neat is Manitoba quarterback Jackson Tashinsky. Now, he'll be coming to the Combine as a quarterback, but this guy is an amazing athlete. He also played university basketball with the Bisons. So this guy was a 2-sport athlete. Again, he's got a pretty good arm on him. He's got all kinds of quickness. And I'm really curious if a CFL team takes a shot at him, maybe not even as a quarterback, though, maybe towards a receiver or something that would go ahead and highlight his athleticism in addition to him being a pretty darn good quarterback. So he's a guy that I've kind of circled. I want to see what he looks like when he's running out there.
Yeah, I mean, Nathan Rourke definitely helped things, and Trey Ford will as well, as far as the Canadian quarterback thing, because that's kind of been the one position that, oh, great, you're a Canadian quarterback? All right, what else can you do? Because there's probably not a chance where now that door is open. How much is it open? I think it depends on the club and the general manager and the direction that they want to go. Can you burn a roster spot having a 4th quarterback as a Canadian, maybe to learn that they move up to 3, if they're built like a tank, like a Tommy Stevens, okay, well, it's a 3, it's a short yardage. It'll be interesting. The door is more open now than it ever has been. How will these teams without Canadian quarterbacks on the roster deal with that? Who's the best, in your mind, the best player or the most intriguing player coming out of Saskatchewan? You said there's 7. Who is at the top of your list as far as Saskatchewan football players?
Well, boy, that's a tough one because they each have their own strengths and their own, like Connor Klassen, for example, offensive lineman out of the Regina Rams program, right? He has gone ahead and he has taken on a position in junior and university, so didn't play offensive line in high school. He took this on when he went to the Regina Thunder program after he graduated from Big River. And the guy, they put him on an island right away. They put him at right tackle. And when you're playing tackle on the offensive line, like, again, there's a lot of room and a lot of space you've got to cover in a hurry. And if you haven't got a lot of offensive line experience before that, when you're playing that position, that intrigues me, showing a lot of versatility on your part and a lot of ability. Also, if you want to talk to other guys, I know you're going to have Chopper Hippie on. We're going to have a conversation with him in a little bit. Chopper, again, he was a guy that I think played with a chip on his shoulder last year. The Regina Rams, I felt from the get-go, after they were ranked last in the coaches' survey that happens at the start of the year, they played like they had something to prove all year. And Chopper, to me, has always had the attention where this is something that I want to prove to you. I want to prove that, I never, ever should be taken lightly when I'm on a football field. And he plays with that chip on his shoulder. So I'm very curious to see how he is going to factor in. Daniel Weeb, the receiver from the University of... I'm going to go ahead and list them all now, aren't I? Daniel Weeb from the U of S. The only knock on him is his size, and you can't change that. The coachable stuff, he runs good, precise routes. He's got all kinds of speed. He runs track as well at the U of S. So he's tremendous. And then in the linebacking core, you go back to the U of S, Lane Novak out of Balgoni has done a terrific job since arriving at the University of Saskatchewan. He started, I think, a year before anyone thought that he would. He just rose that quickly on the depth chart, catching the eye of his then defensive coordinator, Warren Muzika, not to mention Seth Hundeby, who in high school wasn't even thinking about playing football until his coach came up to him and said, "Hey, man, you should consider playing post-secondary because you've got a future in the sport." And now he's got an invite to the combine. So they're all quality athletes. Ranking them is difficult when it comes to their strengths and their abilities, as well as their desire, perhaps in some instances, to go back to school and complete their degrees.
That's a whole other animal as well. You draft guys. Some may say, "Hey, great, but I really want to get my education. I'm going to go back to school," where, I guess as an impatient fan, somebody who wants to win, like everybody in Rider Nation does, because it's been since 2013. It's funny when you mention, and you could give me 25 good reasons why drafting an offensive lineman is the absolute best thing for a Saskatchewan Roughrider. But it doesn't give the immediate or sexy payoff that a lot of impatient fans like me want, because an offensive lineman, it takes years to mold into greatness, where some of these other positions could be plug and play. A guy could get on the field within the first few games and start making an impact. And I think that's what a lot of us fans at times, we get the long play, but we also want the immediate. Like when we see I guess like a Tyrell Ford in Winnipeg, where it took a little bit, but it didn't take all that long before you saw, wow, what a special player he is.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was a standout, too, as one of the participants in the CFL Combine that have gone on to the league. But one of the things that strikes me, and again, wanting immediate payoff, right? Something to consider. It was way back forever ago in junior hockey. And there was a speech right at the end of the year from our coach. And what he said was, "This is going to be the final time in your life and your athletic career where age will define you." And that really stuck with me, because if you looked at it at training camps in years gone by, there's the 25-year-old bright-eyed rookie that just came out of the CFL draft that the team has got an investment in and they're going to give him every opportunity to succeed. That's going to go up against a 32-year-old lineman who's been in the league for 6 years. Like, 25 and 32 and a guy that's played pro for 6 years, there's a lot of difference in those two bodies. And the limited roster size of the Canadian Football League teams really makes it hard to develop players outside of your game day roster, right? So to me, that's kind of the beauty of the CFL draft, right? Again, I talked about that pipeline, and you go ahead and advance where you feel and projecting into the future where you feel that you're going to need those draft picks to play in years to come. So I don't know. It's just, I find it really intriguing. And again, when you get those battles at training camp, wow, that's a difference maker right there.
So not only is Dave Thomas the voice of the Riders, he's also a journalist as well. You've been covering sports a long, long time. And all the brass from every CFL team are going to be here in Regina over the next couple of days. Who do you, not necessarily that you have to give anything away, or maybe you don't have it lined up. Who do you want to talk to from the other CFL teams? I'd like to talk to Dave Dickinson, and I would say, Dave, you're taking a lot of bullets here. Some strays, some straight on. It hasn't been a good couple of years. Sell me on why the Stampeder machine is going to be all good. And now, whether or not he'd want to answer that, but he's a guy I would be curious to talk to. Who do you want to talk to from the other teams?
Well, to answer that question with Dave Dickinson, I think that he would say, well, what convinces you in the fact that this is going to be turned around? I would say, well, I'm Dave Dickinson. I have a guy by the name of Huffnagel that's upstairs, and we've done this a while. So to me, that would be the answer. But as to answer your question, who do I want to talk to? I think Mark Killam out of Edmonton will be very interesting to hear how he's found this offseason, his first as a head coach in the league. Although, again, he's got so much experience as the special teams coordinator in Calgary under his belt. How different has it been? And I'm going to be very curious to hear about that. I'm going to be interested to hear what Ryan Dinwiddie in Toronto has had to say, because again, they've lost a lot of guys, but they seem to have the pipeline now where they just continue to find that next guy. So does he believe that they've got that next guy on their roster? I think that that's going to be very interesting to find out when it comes to the defending Grey Cup champions, and maybe even finding out what's going to happen in BC with Ryan Rigmaiden and how he has explored this offseason, taking over the reins, of course, and having a chance to kind of put his own stamp on the team. How much does he want that team to emulate what he believes is going to be a contender out in BC? So those are a couple of the teams that I'll be watching for, especially. Also, I think it could be an interesting dynamic with Hamilton too. So did I name all 9 CFL teams too? What am I, going into politics? You started the show with politics.
Dave, nowadays, everybody's got to be a little bit of a politician, it seems. Depending on the certain scenarios that you find yourself in, you're trying to give the right answer and the stock answer and keep everybody happy so you can get votes on both sides. We'll wrap on this. We're going to chat with Chopper Hippie of the U of R Rams at about 5:50 this afternoon. He's going to be in the Combine this weekend. Is Chopper his real name, or is that a nickname?
It's a long story, but it's a good story. I'll tell you that right now. And if you ever grew up in Mydale, Saskatchewan, that's right between Weyburn and Estevan. You always had to pick your allegiance between Weyburn and Estevan. And at a very young age, Chopper had to pick his allegiance, and he's still, back to politics, he's still sitting on the fence when it comes to that allegiance, and he'll share that story as well, I'm sure.
All right, Mydale, home of the Johnner brothers. We made it. Hey, listen, remember that day when we got Brad on? That was awesome. And Telemiracle a few weeks ago. All right, Dave Thomas, voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. It's going to be a busy weekend, CFL Combine, and we'll have the most in-depth coverage when it comes to everything CFL over the next couple of days at sportscage.com. That's where the show is streaming. If you've never watched what we're doing, hey, you got a smartphone, you can pull us up right now. Give us a subscribe when you're there. And every time when we go to start a show or a live stream, you'll be notified instantly. And we love the comments as well. This is the Sports Cage. We'll be right back. The show continues next on 620 CKRM.
620 CKRM on location.
Welcome back to Assiniboia. It's Cody Clyden here with the Assiniboia Spring Fever Lotto, broadcasting at Nelson GM. Hey, if you're in the area, stop on by, pick up your tickets. You can use Visa, MasterCard, let's see here, cash, debit. And if you're calling from much further away, well, Visa and MasterCard are both accepted at 1-888-289-3276, 1-888-289-3276. $150,000 is what's being given away in the 30th annual Assiniboia Spring Fever Lotto. And I know we all have a place for $130,000, don't we? Maybe you've got kids that have wrapped up hockey. We all know how expensive a hockey season can be by the time you pay for hotel rooms and tournaments and registration fees and equipment and food and all that type of stuff. It adds up pretty quickly. So I have a feeling, $150,000 injected into your bank account right about now would certainly be welcome news. Tickets are $100 each, 3 for $250. Ask about the Mega Pack and ask about that 50-50. Here's that number one more time, 1-888-289-3276.
I'm standing brazenly tall for Canada. Ron James here. Let's keep her going. Proudly stand together in the land of 2 4s and 5 O's and butter tarts and buy Canadian. Check the labels. Make sure it's made in Canada. And let's just give her. Shop as if your country depends on it. Keep your money in Canada for Canada.
Let's try starting a car after being parked outside all night in the winter in Saskatchewan.
Oh,
Oh, perfect.
Now, how about starting that same car? Still winter, still Saskatchewan, but parked in a nice warm garage.
It's alive.
We don't have a luxury here in Saskatchewan of just having carport climate. We need a garage, and sometimes we need that garage door fixed. Call Busy Bee Doors. They can fix or replace any commercial or garage door. Busy Bee Doors, the garage door specialists.
Southie Mainline has gone crazy with over $260,000 in total discounts across our remaining 2024 vehicles. Our 2024 inventory is all priced to move with unbeatable discounts. From $2,000 off to $16,000 off. These deals are too good to last. Visit SouthieMainline.ca for more details. Southie Mainline Chrysler, just 30 minutes north of Regina. Worth the drive every time. Guaranteed.
Olympic Buildings is looking for post-frame building crews to construct their post-frame buildings. This can be from any part of the province, and they'll pay better than industry average. To talk about getting your company to construct their buildings, visit olympic-buildings.ca.
Text CKRM 306-936-6262. Powered by Prairie Land Rentals. They've got everything you need for your projects. 600 Albert Street. PrairieLandRental.com. Saskatchewan, it's time to talk sports. Sportscage is on the air. Be part of the show. Call 936-6262 or toll free 1-866-767-0620. And we're always online at sportscage.com. 620 CKRM.
Tomorrow's a big day. Taking the show on the road to the Connexus Arts Center for the 56th annual Regina Rams Sports Dinner. Special guest is NFL Hall of Famer John Randall. And we have it confirmed that John will be on with Barney and Sharky tomorrow. And Rams head coach Mark Conkey will be on as well. That was a fun time last year. At Rams dinner, that was good. Great meal. Entertaining, kind of a who's who, shaking hands. And I remember because Corey Mace, keep in mind, Corey Mace was brand new. He was announced as the head coach of the Riders, but that was probably one of the first big events. And I remember we had him on the show, just a great guy. And then people just shaking hands and how you doing, coach? Welcome to Rider Nation and all of that. It'll be interesting to see tomorrow when they're working the room in year two. It's kind of like a lot of us curious. Hey, we had good, year one was good, but what are we going for year two? If there's secrets, you can tell me, but I'm not going to tell anybody else. So that's tomorrow, Connexus Arts Center. The Sports Cage will be live starting at 3:00. And special guest speaker John Randall, who is in the NFL Hall of Fame, will be part of the show. It's Maz in for Barney today, along with, we don't have the double C's. We got one of the C's. We got Colson, and we got the Sheriff. We got Big Al. And when Al is on, I like wrestling, and Alan loves wrestling. Well, maybe I love wrestling too, but we like to talk wrestling. But here's the thing. Since the switch of WWE programming to Netflix in early January, I think they've lost a lot of Canadian viewers because if you don't have Netflix, you can't watch wrestling. And now I guess they're in Europe for like 3 weeks on tour. So like Monday Night Raw was on at like 3 p.m. on Monday, and SmackDown's going to be on Friday at like 2 or 3. Al, how are you adjusting to this time change with Europe?
To be honest, not great.
I know.
For me, I just more or less I see on Twitter, so I see most of the spoilers on Twitter. So I'm like, I'm still kind of adjusting.
Colson, this is what we're going through. Not only is there a political turmoil in Canada and a tariff war looming, now the wrestling schedule is screwed up. Like everything happens in threes, right? So I'm hoping that this is it. But it's budget day in Saskatchewan. Did you guys hear the news? There's surpluses everywhere. And so there's going to be extra money. But it's funny, at Regina City Council yesterday, they were talking about bike lanes and stuff, and somebody wanted more money for the bike lanes, or there's something. And then the city manager's like, we can't quantify if the bike lanes are actually doing what they're supposed to. And as much as I don't like the bike lanes, I will give the bike lane people credit for having an agenda and knowing how to get it passed. Because have you guys ever gotten anything built on a public road?
I can't say I have. No,
exactly.
Either. No, unfortunately, no. I wouldn't.
The 1% of the 1% is incredibly smart in getting their agenda across. And I would say the bike lanes are up and running. How much more money do you need to put into it? Is there a way to improve it? So it was kind of funny watching some of the comments online and some of those videos go back and forth about the bike lane, and we need to pour more money into it.
Talking about schedules being thrown off, don't forget that the women's world's curling is in South Korea right now, and there's a bunch.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there's a bunch of curling fans that are probably up at 3 a.m. to catch a game. So,
well, tonight it's normal. So tonight it's 6 o'clock, and this is kind of it. So the Rachel Holman of the curling world, she's Swiss, the Swiss rink. Her name escapes me right now. But tonight, 6-2, Rachel Holman. They beat Norway earlier today, 8-6. So they're 6-2. Tonight they're taking on the undefeated Swiss team. The Swiss are 8-0. So this is her. If the Superman and Kryptonite, this is her mortal enemy. This is The Rock v Stone Cold circa 2001. Like, there's no two bigger forces that are going to collide here. So tonight, this is it. Now, here's the thing. If Holman loses, it doesn't necessarily mean that she's out of playoff contention, but it sure would be nice to beat the Swiss, because you're probably going to have to beat them again if you make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And how about those Regina Pats last night? Beating Swift Current 5-2. I didn't see that one. I know we made a list last week of cliches that are overused, and apparently I have a bunch. One of the terms was, I didn't see that on my bingo card. I've used that apparently way too much. But I didn't see that on my bingo card last night, the Pats beating the Broncos.
You've used with 3 other cliches already this show, by the way.
Let's see.
Not that I'm actually keeping track, but
yes, you are, and it's funny but jerkish. That's like the group text that I'm not in. Let's see. Can I figure it out? I probably said, "Here's the thing." Is that one of them?
That was one of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't mentioned that I have family members that live in the state of Florida lately, because apparently that's another one that you guys all get mad at. I'm not trying to, but if it comes up in conversation, I'll mention it.
Oh, I didn't know that. So like,
yeah, well, Al, thanks for being on my side. Apparently, it's a thing. There's a list going.
Yeah, Pat's defense though. Yeah, coming up clutch last night.
Congrats to Bridgman.
Zach Pantakalakis had a goal and 2 assists. So the Pats going to wrap up the season this weekend. Bennett Dunlop Ford, Regina Pats hockey is on 620 CKRM. Pre-game show Friday in Brandon. That's an early one, right? Is that a 5:30 and then 6 o'clock? Yeah, because of the time change, right?
6 o'clock.
Yeah, so it's a 5:30. So that's an early start on Friday because of Brandon. And then Saturday back home to host the Wheat Kings. So we're shutting down the cage early on Friday because the Pats game starts at 5:30.
Usually,
even if that is the case, we'd like you to stay until 6, both of you, to get your hours in. It's a tough economy out there. We're going to need to. If you could send me 5 things you've done this week to my email, just to let everybody know that you're contributing.
Have fun downloading the 2-hour Sportscage podcast, because that's what I've done.
So there's 3 games last night in the Western Hockey League, and the playoff races are, especially in the East, heating up. So Moose Jaw, PA wins 3-1. That's an important 2 points for the Raiders because that keeps them in second place. Wenatchee beat Kamloops 5-3, and as we said, the Pats beat the Broncos 5-2. So tonight, Saskatoon is at Brandon. Saskatoon, PA, and Brandon, it's a dogfight. They're all within 2 points of each other, but it will slowly throw the seeding off depending who goes 1, 2, or 3. Red Deers at Calgary and Wenatchee at Kelowna. If the playoffs started today, number 1 Medicine Hat would take on number 8 Swift Current. Number 2 Prince Albert would take on Edmonton. Number 3 Calgary would take on Saskatoon. And number 4 Lethbridge would take on Brandon. And I think we did the bus math the other day. That's still 1,000 K between Lethbridge and Brandon. That's an unsexy bus trip. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk NHL with our insider, Eric Francis, who is in New York City. Last we left Eric, it was St. Patrick's Day, and he was off to a bar. Was he going to get a Celtic tattoo? We don't know. Was there going to be some sort of St. Patrick's Day shenanigans or violence? We'll find out. And what about the Flames? With the win last night, does he think that they still have a shot at making that Western Conference wildcard. We'll do that next. The Sportscage is streaming at sportscage.com on our YouTube channel and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
620 CKRM on location.
Happy Wednesday to you. It's Cody Glyden with the Assiniboia Spring Fever Lotto. And I know what some people say, oh, yeah, but you know what? I never win a darn thing. Well, you know what? I know Mark up in Mervyn, Saskatchewan said the exact same thing last year. I don't win a darn thing. And then all of a sudden, he got the phone call last May saying he won $150,000. Terry out in Indian Head last year walked away with over $85,000 in the 50-50. All kinds of winners, and you just might be one of them this year. But you won't be on this list if you don't buy a ticket. And you don't want to miss out on that because there are some incredible prizes up for grabs, including the second prize, which is a Yarbo snowblower worth $5,000. Third prize is a Tuscan 5-piece sectional worth $3,000. And fourth prize is the Candy Trail King electric bike or $2,000 in cash. In all, you have 85 chances if you buy today. But you must buy today at 1-888-289-3276, 1-888-289-3276.
Hey farmers, Canada's Farm Show is here. Are you ready? Come on down and meet Core Green March 18th, 19th, and 20th in booths 11359 and 11386 to chat with our experts about smarter grain storage and handling solutions. Core Green is your trusted partner for grain storage solutions across the prairies, dedicated to offering you the best grain storage and handling systems. We work tirelessly to customize grain monitoring and conditioning systems to fit your specific vineyard plan, now and in the future. Core Grain, doing the right thing for your farm. See you at Canada's Farm Show.
So, since that little ding on my car last week, I don't know where to take it.
I don't even know.
That's easy. Take it to Regina Motor Products.
Who said that?
I did. Down here. I'm Terry the Tire. Regina Motor Products Chevrolet Collision Center and SGI accredited auto body repair is a full-service collision and body shop that works on all makes and models. Just submit your claim to SGI and set an appointment to get your appraisal done. Easy.
I bet you're tired after saying all that.
South at Highway 1 and 6, Albert Street. RMPChevrolet.com.
Who's really on Saskatchewan's side? The Liberals? They imposed a carbon tax, clawed back our healthcare transfers, and canceled pipelines. The NDP? Jagmeet Singh always took Trudeau's side, keeping him in power so he could get his pension. Your Conservative MPs fight the carbon tax, support Saskatchewan's energy workers, and defend our health payments. Only Conservatives are always on Saskatchewan's side. This message brought to you by Warren Steinley, MP for Regina Louvain.
It's time to turn up the heat on trades at Crestview. For a limited time, get a $2,500 trade-in bonus on any trade-in. We're going to work to get you the same or similar payment to what you got right now. And we got something for everybody. Over 200 brand new vehicles, Jeeps, Rams, Caravans, and so much more. Plus, Capital's 100K giveaway is back in Crestview. Check out capital100k.ca for your chance to win. We're turning up the heat on trades at Crestview Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, proud member of the Capital Automotive Group.
The folks at Fries Tallman want to talk about upgrading your windows and doors. They want to talk about modernizing your home and saving you money every heating and cooling bill. They want to talk about Geldwen windows and doors, and how from now until March 21st, you can save 15% off select Geldwen products. Only purchased through Fries Tallman. Keep the conversation going. Head to Fries Tallman today in Regina and Fort Capel.
Fries Tallman. Let's get you building.
This is 620 CKRM Regina, the voice of Saskatchewan, a Harvard media station, streaming everywhere at 620CKRM.com.
It's 4:01. Good afternoon. It's sunny and it's -1 in Regina. I'm Corey Atkinson from the sasktoday.ca newsroom with 620 CKRM News. Saskatchewan's finance minister says the turbulent headwinds of tariffs could blow as much as $1 billion hole in this year's budget. Jim Ryder says the spending plan doesn't set aside cash to deal with levies imposed by the U.S. and China. He says it just wasn't possible.
The uncertainties will show why including any amount of contingency at this time would not be realistic. However, we've been cautious on our expenditures in today's budget and prudent on revenues to put us in the best possible financial position to weather the impacts of any tariffs.
The budget estimates $21 billion worth of spending, banking on rising populations, growing revenues, and stable potash markets. However, the budget doesn't set aside money to offset potential massive losses, as Canada fights an ongoing trade war with the United States and faces one with China starting this week. NDP leader Carla Beck accused Premier Scott Moe of being asleep at the wheel, saying the government has no plan to defend itself against tariffs or grow the economy. For more in-depth coverage of the provincial budget, go to sasktoday.ca or 620ckrm.com. The CEO of Viterra, Kyle Jaworski, sees exciting things ahead for the ag industry. He took the optimistic approach after telling attendees of Canada's Farm Show welcome reception, that creative solutions are required for complex issues such as tariffs from the United States and China.
We see exciting times on the horizon for the long-term future of this industry, and we look forward to shaping it together with our farmers, our industry partners, our suppliers, and other key stakeholders.
About the trade uncertainty caused by tariffs, Jaworski reminded everyone that tough times don't last, but tough people do. Prairie canola producers are bracing for the impact that Chinese tariffs will have on their industry. China is expected to enact a 100% levy on Canadian canola oil and meal starting tomorrow. Clinton Monchuk farms canola outside Saskatoon and says this is bad news for Canadian canola producers. The tariffs come in response to the federal government placing a 100% tariff on Chinese-made electric cars and a 25% tax on aluminum and steel products. And a storied annual tradition for the Regina theatre goers is hitting the pause button due to a missed deadline and miscommunication. The Regina International Fringe Festival says on its website that this summer's Fringe has been cancelled, but it will return next year. Board member William Hale says the organization missed the deadline for a large grant and learned one of its prime venues would be under renovation. Artists who applied to appear will have their application fees refunded, and the board says it is looking for new venues to host for the July 2026 show. And a new series is coming to Paramount Plus this week. It has all the elements of a gripping true crime yarn. Happy Face is inspired by the true story of Melissa Moore, who discovered her father was a serial killer. The series, starring Annalee Ashford and Dennis Quaid, is told from a female point of view and looks at how a shameful secret can echo through generations. That's your 620 CKRM News. Read more stories from around your community and around the province at sasktoday.ca and 620ckrm.com. Your weather is next.
Saskatchewan Fish and Wildlife Development Fund lands are managed to provide the best possible wildlife habitat for the greatest number of species. These lands are not reserves or sanctuaries and can be used by anyone for hiking, birdwatching, and hunting. However, vehicles are only permitted to access for the retrieval of legally harvested big game animals. If you are aware of any abuse to Fish and Wildlife Development Fund lands, call the toll-free Turn-In Poachers line or pound 5555 from a SaskTel cell phone. Find SaskTip on YouTube and Facebook.
Give your crop the best chance for success with Power Rich Fertilizer. Here's Sales Manager Ken Barrowman.
For over 40 years, Power Rich Fertilizer has been supplying farmers with high-quality nutrients. Higher quality, more plant availability, letting you apply less product. Less handling, less filling, more seeding. Have our agents come to your farm to discuss the Power Rich advantage.
Call Power Rich Fertilizers today, 1-800-663-GROW, or visit PowerRich.com. Power Rich Fertilizer. The future is right in front of you, if you're ready for it.
And now it's time for your 620 CKRM Precision Weather Forecast for Linex Regina. Serious protection, killer looks, 1865 McCarra Street. Tonight, partly to mostly cloudy and a low of -8. Tomorrow, becoming cloudy with a high of +2. Friday, partly sunny and a high of -5. And then on Saturday, light snow, 1 to 2 centimeters and a high of -1. In this hour in Moose Jaw, it's mostly sunny. Winds are from the southwest at 24, gusting to 33, and it's +4. Regina is sunny. Winds are from the southwest at 8, and it's -1. For more local news that matters to you, subscribe to our daily newsletter at sasktoday.ca.
When you want the best for your truck, you want Line-X. Your truck has withstood the harshest elements Saskatchewan has thrown at it. Rocks, gravel, rain, sleet, and snow, and left with no chips, no rust. Line-X protective coating keeps your truck's bed liners, rocker panels, and bumpers looking like brand new. Don't settle for Brand X. Go with Line-X. It's serious protection. Come see why everybody loves taking their truck to Line-X Regina for their rocker panels, bumpers, and more. Line-X. Make your truck complete. 1865 McCarra Street.
Come join an unforgettable evening at the Regina Red Sox Dinner and Auction on Saturday, April 26th at the Turvey Center. This year's special guest will be Saskatchewan Roughriders head coach Corey Mace and offensive coordinator Mark Mueller. Pre-dinner drinks will start at 6 p.m. and dinners at 7. And don't forget the live and silent auction. Tickets are available at ReginaRedSox.com. Get your tickets now for the Regina Red Sox Dinner and Auction Saturday, April 26th. And support Regina Red Sox Baseball. Presented by Dusick & Barlow Insurance at SGI Canada. Play ball!
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sportscage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Regina Motor Products, proudly serving Saskatchewan for over 70 years. Visit rnpchevrolet.com today. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sportscage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
It's a big night for hockey in southern Saskatchewan. AAA, it could be the end of the road for the Moose Jaw Winmar Warriors in Swift Current tonight to take on the Legionnaires. Swift Current leads the best-of-5 series 2-1. We were trying to get Todd Horning, coach of the Legionnaires, on with us, but it is game day, we understand. And he's not going to be able to come on with us today as they got to get ready for the game. Now, Todd has led his team 31 wins, 12 losses in the regular season. That was good for second place, only next to the Pat Canadians, who ended up in first. And he's got quite the squad. Cade Mitchell, rookie goaltender, 19 wins and 5 losses. This kid's 15 years old. Give him a couple of years. How good is he going to be? Tonight, face-off in Swift Current will go at 7:30. Should the Warriors happen to win tonight, Game 5 would be Friday in Moose Jaw at 7 o'clock. In the Prairie Junior Hockey League, you've got playoff action. Game 3 tonight, Regina Capitals in Fort Capel to take on Fort Knox. Face-off there goes at 7:30. And you've got senior hockey tonight. Lumsden Monarchs taking on the Raymore Rockets. Game 2 of their provincial series. The QVHHL playoffs. Lumsden is up 1-0. Face-off there is going to go at 8 o'clock. If you want to be part of the show, you can. Prairie Land Rentals text line, 306-936-6262. And we've got our Twitter poll question up as well. Will Alexander Ovechkin break Wayne Gretzky's goal-scoring record this season? Needs 8 goals. There's 14 games left. Yes? No, yes, but I don't want it to be an empty net goal. So far, everyone just wants yes. They want Ovi to do it, and they want him to do it this year. Colson, Big Al, do we have Eric? We do. All right, it's time to go inside the NHL with Eric Francis from Sportsnet.
Now for Inside the NHL with Eric Francis on the Sportscage. Inside the NHL is brought to you by Selfie Mainline Chrysler, the newest king of trucks. Worth the drive every time, guaranteed.
Hey, pal, how are you? Last when we left you on Monday, it was St. Patrick's Day. You were in Times Square. You did not have to work the next day. You were headed out to a bar. So did you get a Celtic tattoo? Was there smiles and laughs, or was there St. Patrick's Day violence in an Eric Francis St. Patty's Day in New York City?
There was no violence. I did laugh, and I almost texted you right away because there was a healthy crew of Irish lads who, I won't say they were looking for trouble, but I'm thinking that the trajectory they were on, trouble was going to find them. You know, they were pretty excited about the day, about the situation. They've been very much overserved, and they were very, very physical. Just wanted to hug every guy and girl, and it always takes just one guy to not really enjoy the hug from another man, and next thing you know, you got a brouhaha. But anyway, it was all good. I got to tell you, there was a piper in the bar that I was in from the New York City police, and he was telling me, like, he played the bagpipes with another guy, and then he was telling me that he'd been drinking in the same establishment for over 50 years, and he said, "You see that phone booth behind me?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he said, "That's where I commanded my post during 9/11. Like, I'm a 9/11 Tower 2 survivor." And he was in there for breakfast, and then it happened, or lunch or whatever, and then that's where he did all his maneuvering for 9/11. Anyway, pretty powerful stuff, and suffice it to say, he didn't buy a drink all night. Everybody wanted to buy him a drink because he was a local legend. So anyway, that was a cool story.
Yeah, so Monday night, it got ugly in Toronto. The Leafs had their St. Patrick's Day jerseys on, and they humped the Flames. What was it, 6-1, 6-2? And then some travel problems, and the Flames don't get to New York City until like 3 o'clock. But then yesterday, head scratcher as it is, they beat the New York Rangers 2-1. And it's funny, Eric, when I turned on the game, I couldn't believe it was the third period. There was 10 or 11 minutes left, and the Rangers only had 11 shots at the time. Like, what happened last night at MSG?
It really is a testament to, I guess the resilience of the Calgary Flames and the fact that I think that whether you're a casual observer or you're a diehard Flames fan, you probably had several moments, especially of late, where you've said, this is it. Like, this is where they start to fall out of the race that no one thought they were going to be in anyway. And that must have happened 75 seconds into the game last night. Panarin scores kind of a weak one under the glove of Dan Vladar. And given the fact that they'd been thumped the day before, given the fact they'd lost 3 in a row, given the fact they're in New York, given the fact that a soft one went in, you're at the point where you're like, well, this is clearly the moment. And yet, at the 10-minute mark, Kadri scores a goal and basically turns the entire game on its ear. Like, from that point on, I think the Flames outshot them like 12-2, and the rest of the night it was 35-13. Yeah, it came down to a one-goal game because Shesterkin was so good, but hey, at the end of the day, this is a Calgary Flames team that say what you want, whether you want them to make the playoffs or not, whether you think they should make the playoffs or they should have tanked. At the end of the day, you got to give them credit. They're a pretty likable crew in terms of the work ethic that they put together on a pretty much nightly basis. It's the only way they can do it. Goaltending and hard work, because they don't have the skill to compete with a lot of the teams that they're fighting with. But they sure do have that never quit attitude. That's pretty endearing, if you ask me.
Yeah, Barney and I were talking about that after your hit on the show the other day, that Ryan Huska has wrung every ounce of anything from everywhere to get this team to where they are. He's done more with less than anybody else, because you look at the roster of the Rangers, the riches of talent that they have, and for whatever reason they just can't put it together. Eric Francis joins us. He's Inside the NHL. It's brought to you by Southie Mainline Chrysler. They've got over $260,000 in total discounts on remaining 24 vehicles. Discounts anywhere from $2,000 all the way to $16,000 off. You can call 306-726-2060 or visit SouthieMainline.ca. Southie Mainline Chrysler is worth the drive every time, guaranteed. So the road trip continues. It's off to Jersey next. Now, Jersey is, fair to say, they've been up and down lately. Some nights look great, other nights look disinterested.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair to say. Like, I think they built up such a cushion with their early success that the free fall they've kind of been on at times in the second half, they should be able to survive it and obviously make the playoffs. But the loss of Jack Hughes is, a devastating gut punch. Not many teams in the league could, kind of overcome something like that. Look, again, I'm not saying they can't win around in the playoffs, but nobody considers them a cup contender without Jack Hughes in the lineup. So, Dougie Hamilton is also out for the regular season, if not longer. It's, the wind has really come out of the sails of the organization of late. Maybe they can, like I said, win around, or who knows. But, Jack Hughes is I don't know if I'm going to go as far as to call him a generational talent, but he certainly is a top 10 player in the NHL for me. And, losing that guy is devastating.
Well, I think one of the things that a lot of the people thought about Jersey last year is they were building a nice roster. They had some veterans. They had some young talent, including Hughes, but they needed a goalie. So they get Jacob Markstrom from the Flames, who at times has looked great this year. Lately, not so much. But you've seen it before, right? Jacob Markstrom gets hot. He can start winning you hockey games and single-handedly taking things over. You think there's a lot of people sort of waiting around for the Jacob Markstrom factor to click in again?
No, I mean, I think we saw it earlier in the season. It was kind of like Ottawa right now, where they finally believe they can win because they finally have that goalie. Same in New Jersey. Last year they had a damn good team, but they missed the playoffs miserably because they had no goaltending whatsoever. They knew it was their number one thing they had to address. They went and did it in a very, very efficient manner and got one of the top 5 goalies in the league, in my opinion. And early on, they were just like, there were a lot of times when I would talk to people in the league about them, and they'd say, it's almost like they all look at each other and go, wow, yeah, we knew it. We knew we were good, and we just needed someone to stop the puck every once in a while. As a matter of fact, I think it was around this time last year, and I can't remember who said it, and it might have been Hughes. He said something about it would be nice if we could stop the puck every once in a while, or something to that effect. It didn't go over that well in the dressing room, but message heard loud and clear. So, yeah, Markstrom's a stud, and he's had a pretty good season. He just came back off injury. He's been pretty good since, but the team's just not good enough for them to put together much of a run of late, no matter how good he plays.
Out of the 9 games in the NHL last night, probably the score that stood out for me, because I didn't see it coming, the Vancouver Canucks beat the Winnipeg Jets 6-2. Besides it being Vancouver, Winnipeg hasn't lost a lot of lopsided games this year. The Canucks look to be getting a little mojo going. They looked dominant last night in that win. They're in that wild card spot, and Eric, I hate to say it, but crazy Canucks fans on Twitter may have something legitimate here to be boasting about, because they've kind of strung some wins together.
Yeah, they've been building some momentum, certainly amongst the 4 teams that are fighting for that last spot in the wild card in the West. Certainly 3 of them have kind of been on a bit of a run lately, and none of them are the Flames. The Flames have basically been hobbling around at 500 of late. So, from now till the end of the season, like each team has 16, 17, 18 games left, you're going to have to probably win 10 of them. So, they don't do the magic number like they do in baseball very much. But, with every loss for the Flames, they're one step closer to being, out of the picture. Right now they have a game in hand, and in some ways they're in not the driver's seat, but they're in not a bad position. But you asked about Vancouver, and I'll say that, they're so up and down on a nightly basis. It's really hard to get a read on what you're going to get out of them, other than you're going to get good goaltending. That's been pretty good for them this year. They're like the Flames. Like, they've only got, I think, 8 more goals than the Flames this year, so they're having trouble scoring goals as well. On a night like that, when you get 6, it's pretty shocking. But, yeah, it is scary for people in Calgary to see a score like that against, the best team in the league this year, or one of the best teams, certainly the best team in the West. You just wonder how much of it had to do with the fact that, Winnipeg doesn't really have much to play for now and for the next, 16 games. They're number 1 in the West. No one's catched them. And it's probably got to be pretty hard to sustain, top level of hockey from now to the end of the season if you're Winnipeg. That's pretty much the only way I can explain how Vancouver can beat them like that, especially so badly.
Well, the first thing I checked on the app on my phone was Connor Hellebuck that played in net. It wasn't It wasn't Connery, the backup goal. It was Hellebuck, and I was like, okay, all right. So that's playoff Connor Hellebuck that gave up those 6 goals. And I mentioned this in the first hour of the show. Right now, the fumbling of the hot potato of first place overall in the NHL is the Winnipeg Jets and the Washington Capitals. 98 points, 98 points. Find a way to not win the President's Trophy, right? Because that is the curse. Yeah. If you win the President's Trophy, you are not winning the Stanley Cup. So what team is going to tank better to make sure that they don't get Gary's top regular season prize?
Yeah. I got to look that up. When was the last time a team won the President's Trophy and won the Stanley Cup? Like, to your point, obviously it's very rare. But I will be armed with that next Monday. I'll come equipped with an answer on, when was the last time and how many times it's happened in the last 20 years. I bet it's only one or two. But, yeah, and I don't think anyone is worried about that. If you win the President's Trophy, hey, you can retire and always say at the end of your career, I won the President's Trophy. And that and $5 will get you a cup of coffee. So it doesn't mean a lot.
So your wild cards in the East right now, you've got Ottawa with 77 points, and it makes me chuckle. And I'm not a Habs fan, but I love when Habs fans come out of the woodwork. Now sitting in the number 8 spot with 73 points. And wouldn't it be crazy if they went on a run out of nowhere? The Montreal Canadiens. That'd be awesome. And then over here, you've got Vancouver, 75 points. Minnesota with 81. You got St. Louis with 75. Calgary with 73. Utah with 71. Last night, Utah looked terrible against the Oilers. They end up losing 7-1. All right, so you're still in New York. I hear there's a rumor you're going to a Broadway show tonight. Is there any truth to this? And if you are, which one is it?
No, I went to one today. I went to a matinee on Wednesdays. They have some of them have matinees. So I went to. Do you remember the old movie Glengarry Glen Ross?
Yeah.
Alec Baldwin. I think De Niro's in it. I can't remember the whole crew, but it's a great movie. It's a classic, and the basic premise is, we're having a sales competition. First prize gets, I think, a new Cadillac. Second prize gets steak knives, and third place gets fired. And they ended up turning that into a play. David Mamet, who's one of the best Broadway producers out there, writers. And the reason I went is this: Bill Burr is in it. Bob Odenkirk is in it.
Yep.
And Kieran Culkin is in it. And these are three of the most, to me, three of my favorite kind of personalities out there in the acting world. And Burr's not an actor; he's just a stand-up comedian. He plays himself basically in the show. He's just angry, and he swears a lot. It's pretty awesome. And then Michael McKean is in it also, and he happened to be in my favorite movie of all. Well, he's Lenny and Squiggy from way back in the day, but he was in This Is Spinal Tap, which is my favorite movie of all time. Anyway, great play. Picked up a single ticket for a reasonable price. I mean, nothing's reasonable with the Canadian dollar the way it is right now. But anyway, great way to spend an afternoon in New York. Spent the morning at Central Park, and then went to a show, and now I'm in Greenwich Village, about to have dinner with a bunch of my colleagues and see what the evening brings. This is the best city in North America. This is just the greatest city in the world, maybe. I love this city. There's something for everybody. You can come here I come here a lot, and I've done all the touristy things, and I like just trying to pretend I'm a local, even though I'm clearly not. Just love this city. Have you been? Do you like New York? What are your thoughts on this place?
I have been to New York City once. It was in November 2000, and it was for a radio contest, and I was hosting 2 winners. We were sent to the Royal Rumble at Madison Square Garden. We were guests of the World Wrestling Federation, and we sat 5th row ringside, and that's when The Rock beat, was it The Big Show, to win the Royal Rumble? Yeah, we stayed at the W Hotel. And that's where all the wrestlers were staying, and that's when WWF had their restaurant in Times Square. And there's nothing, I agree, Eric, there's no city like it in the world. The energy, the smell, just the vibe, the people, everybody's kind of got a chip on their shoulder. Everybody's aggressive at all times. But what a neat place. And so tomorrow, with the game in Jersey, so hotels in New York, you guys just bus over to Jersey but the New York is home base, hotel, all that, and then it's off from there?
Sorry, you cut out for a split second there?
Oh, no, just talking about, so you're in New York, but with the game in Jersey tomorrow, then you just bus over, or you just Uber over to the rink in Jersey and just take it from there? Yeah. Yeah, there are some fellows who do this trip and they'll move hotels to all the 3 different places. That's ridiculous to me. The reason why this is the best road trip of the year for an NHL beat guy is because you can stay. A Western team will always play all 3 on the same trip, and you just stay in one hotel. I'm here 6 nights in Manhattan, and just take the Penn train, take the Long Island Express out there, and it's easy peasy. And
and then you get to, at the end of every game, at the end of every practice, you just come back to Manhattan and explore something new that maybe you haven't seen before.
All right. Well, I don't want to know what a bottle of water would cost in the minibar at a hotel over 6 nights in the hotel in Manhattan. But all the power to you. Enjoy dinner tonight. If you do anything cultural, we'll find out about it Monday, and we'll. Who knows what Flames team is going to show up tomorrow night in Jersey? The world beaters are the ones that get beat. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. And hey, just in terms of water, I didn't have a bottle of water, but I stopped at a hot dog stand, which is, every 10 feet, especially around Times Square. I was desperate for food. Long story, there's so much great things to eat here. I don't know why I decided to lower myself and have a friggin' dog, $10 US for the kind of hot dog that, costs about 50 cents. $10 US, unreal. So there's your gauge. The hot dog meter.
Nice. There, it's a new bit for the show. Eric Francis inside the NHL and the hot dog meter. It's all brought to you by Salby Mainline Chrysler. Worth the drive every time, guaranteed. All right, Eric, have a great time at dinner, and we'll catch up with Eric. He's on with us every Monday and Wednesday just after 4 o'clock. Speaking of the NHL, if you haven't had a chance to vote yet, go to the X Twitter account at Sportscage. We want to know, will Alexander Ovechkin break Wayne Gretzky's goal record this season? We know he's going to break it. It's inevitable. He only needs 8 goals, but there's only 14 games left, and he scores about 1 goal every 3 games. We're going to run out of hockey before we probably get this, unless something great happens. Like they played last night. He got an assist. He didn't score a goal. Yes, he's going to do it. No, he's not going to do it this season. Or yes, and you hope that it doesn't happen on an empty net goal. I don't think he will this season. But if he does, I don't want it to be on an empty netter. And it's not that you still got to be out there, and there's a bunch of others that are highlight real goals that are live on in infamy you're going to watch forever. But for that, like the classic half wall on the power play, no one's stopping that one-timer, like a goal like that, that's the clip we want to see again and again and again. You've got probably about an hour-ish left to vote, and then we'll tabulate that and get it to you. All right, it's time to take a break on the Sports Cage. When we come back, although opening day for the Jays is until next week, the Major League Baseball season started early yesterday morning in Tokyo. We'll get into that next. We're streaming at sportscage.com and on the radio, 620 CKRM.
620 CKRM is your home to country's greatest hits and the 90s at 9. 1 full hour featuring the biggest hits of the 90s. Garth, Reba, Alan, Shania, George, and so much more. No cassette tape or CDs required, and 90s mullets are optional. 90s at 9 for the town of Wolseley and the voice of Saskatchewan. 620 CKRM. 620 CKRM on location.
Hello there, it's Cody Gleidenbach here in Assiniboia. The Assiniboia Spring Fever Lotto. Terry in Stoughton gave us a call, or Tim in Stoughton gave us a call. Maybe Terry, if there's a Terry in Stoughton, hey, give us a shout so I can say Terry in Stoughton called. For a chance to win $150,000. Now, all 85 draws are going to be happening over the next couple of months. And March the 23rd is when the first, that's this coming Sunday, when the first 30 very early buyer prizes will be happening. And then come April the 27th, that's the early bird draw, that 3-day fishing trip to the beautiful Twin Falls Lodge up on Churchill River, northern Saskatchewan. Such a breathtaking area, crystal clear water, fresh air. You get out of the city and just be one with Mother Nature. Or you can take the money and be one with Mother Nature somewhere else. $5,000 in cash. And, of course, the big grand prize one, which is coming up on Sunday, May 25th. That's where you will have that opportunity to win $150,000. 1-888-289-3276. 1-888-289-3276.
We're standing proud together. for Canada. I'm Colin Mockery.
I'm Deb McGrath, and we're making serious changes to the way we shop.
Like this tube of toothpaste, made in Canada.
Yeah, made in Canada, but it's not toothpaste.
Really?
It's cheese spread in a tube.
Oh, I'll take 2 then.
Let's protect Canadian jobs and Canadian business.
Shop as if your country depends on it. Keep your money in Canada for Canada.
Get it hot and get it fast. Western Pizza.
Dinner served.
What's this?
Pizza.
Looks like cardboard.
It is. Cut into a circle.
What?
Hope you're hungry.
You wouldn't order cardboard for dinner, and that's not what you get when you order from Western Pizza.
Think I'll order Western Pizza.
They've got their pizza down to perfection. Western Pizza. Big on toppings, big on taste. Dine in or takeout. Order today.
And get it hot and get it fast. Western Pizza.
Meet your new favorite shade of green. At Nick Service, we offer the Fendt 500 Vario Series tractor that's tailor-made for your farm. Get better stability, ease of use, and comfort with one tractor. Whether you're feeding, tilling, baling, or hauling, this series is built for your farm. Experience up to 163 horsepower with this multi-purpose tractor. Visit Nick's Service in Emerald Park or go to nicksservice.com to get a quote on the Fendt 500 Vario Series.
So, since that little ding on my car last week, I don't know where to take it.
I don't even know.
That's easy. Take it to Regina Motor Products.
Who said that?
I did. Down here. I'm Terry the Tire. Regina Motor Products Chevrolet Collision Center and SGI accredited auto body repair is a full-service collision and body shop that works on all makes and models. Just submit your claim to SGI and set an appointment to get your appraisal done. Easy.
I bet you're tired after saying all that.
South at Highway 1 and 6, Albert Street. RMPChevrolet.com.
Hey farmers, Canada's Farm Show is here. Are you ready? Come on down and meet Core Green March 18th, 19th, and 20th in booths 11359 and 11386 to chat with our experts about smarter grain storage and handling solutions. Core Grain is your trusted partner for grain storage solutions across the prairies, dedicated to offering you the best grain storage and handling systems. We work tirelessly to customize grain monitoring and conditioning systems to fit your specific vineyard plan, now and in the future. Core Grain, doing the right thing for your farm. See you at Canada's Farm Show.
Southie Mainline has gone crazy with over $260,000 in total discounts across our remaining 2024 vehicles. Our 2024 inventory is all priced to move with unbeatable discounts. From $2,000 off to $16,000 off. These deals are too good to last. Visit SouthieMainline.ca for more details. Southie Mainline Chrysler, just 30 minutes north of Regina. Worth the drive every time. Guaranteed.
The Sportscage Clutch Performer for Nick's Service in Emerald Park. Your local Massey Ferguson Challenger, Rogator, Gleaner, and Fendt dealer. Call 781-1077.
How about the Redvers Rockets beating Moosomin to win the Big Six Hockey League Championship? Redvers, what a season. 27-0-2. Now they move on to play Edom in the Saskatchewan Provincial D playoffs. Get rolling this weekend. That's my clutch performer. Colson and Al behind the scenes today. The other C of the double C's of Colson and Curtis. Curtis is at the Canada Farm Show, which is going on at Real. And we were there yesterday. And what do you guys got? Who's coming in clutch for you guys this afternoon?
Alan, you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. I'll say yesterday for Alabama State when Amar Knox hit a game winner to beat
St. Francis.
St. Francis.
Yeah, and that's to play in. That was a play in to get into the tournament, correct?
Yes, correct.
Yeah,
they'll be facing Auburn, I believe.
Oof.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
I'm not much of a bracketologist. I remember trying filling out one of those NCAA March Madness brackets where you're like the 64 team. I have no idea, and just be like, all right, and you just write a name in the middle and just hope and pray that it would all work out that Duke or Kentucky ends up winning it all. So you'll look like a genius on one half of your bracket.
Arash had a funny story about that yesterday. It's actually a short on our socials, so you can check it out really easy. But my clutch performer is Connor Hellebuck. He had a wicked save yesterday. So if you're not watching the stream, that's okay. We've got the play-by-play here.
Marcus Pedersen will dump it in, former Duck and Penguin. Hellebuck gave it away. Referee, what a stop! Hellebuck to extend the lead to 2. John Lecker-Mackey, look at that save on the heel of the stick for
Well, that looks
desperation. It was good anticipation
from
Lecker-Mackey. He knows that Hellebuyck's going to advance the puck, and he just plucks it.
That's
from
one of the
him,
only
and
saves he
Hellebuyck
made last night because the Canucks ended up beating the Jets 6-2, and Connor Hellebuyck was in goal for all. That wasn't a great night, and that's the other thing too. He's had such a great regular season like the Jets have, but it's the playoffs that everybody's worried about. Like if that's the Connor Hellebuyck that's showing up in the playoffs, and maybe it doesn't happen in the first round, but man,
yeah.
That
was his only clutch moment, unfortunately.
That's another segment. What unclutch performer? We were trying to get Todd Hornagog, who is the head coach of the AAA Swift Current Legionnaires, but it's game day tonight. If they win, he's a busy man. We text him, working all day, got to get ready for the game tonight. And it's so funny. I wonder if now in the world of hockey, there's hockey DB and elite prospects. So if you played kind of any kind of hockey, you get listed and people can kind of see your bio or your stats. Like, I suppose if you were honest, that's what your LinkedIn page could be. But what if there was like a people DB where we could bring up Big Al or Barney or Colson, just be like, oh, that's everywhere they've worked. Oh, okay. Oh, well, they're lying on their resume about that. Oh, okay. So when I was on Todd's Hockey DB, when he was drafted by the Portland Winterhawks, I think he was number 5 overall. His first season in the Dub, what a great way to start your career, 97-98. That's when the Winterhawks won the Memorial Cup. So, and there. So he played for Portland. Then he ended up playing for Lethbridge. He played for Swiftke. Now he's from Vanguard, Saskatchewan. But then, and this is what I wanted to ask him about, he ended up playing a season for the Flin Flon Bombers. I think it was 2000, 2001. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did they win a national title then or a Canadian title back then?
You're correct on the year for when he played with them. I don't know if that's when they won. I'll check.
Sure,
now.
But here's the thing. He's always been a scorer. So he had 87 points. But he had 169 penalty minutes that year playing for Flin Flon. Like, he was out there chucking them as well. And I was like, okay, like this is, so that was one of my questions I wanted to ask him. And then he went on to play for the U of S Huskies. And then he's been just kind of playing senior and coaching. And this is his 3rd year as head coach of the Swift Current Legionnaires. And tonight with a win over Moose Jaw, they can move on to the next round to take on the Pat Canadians. So hopefully we can get him on the show next week. I'd love to chat. Because 87 points, but 169 penalty minutes means you were chucking knucks, but you were also filling the net at a pretty good clip.
Probably.
So find out about that 2000, 2001 Flin Flon Bomber team and see, did they go anywhere or do anything? Because for whatever reason, that date seems to be ringing a bell. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Because it's not often you had a guy go. Sometimes they went from back then from the SJ into the Dub, never usually from the Dub into the SJ to round out their career.
They qualified for the RBC Cup as hosts.
Okay.
And then, beat Humboldt in the quarterfinal, Nipawin in the semi, went 2-2 in the round robin, beat Weyburn in the semi, and they lost in the final to Camrose Kodiaks.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it was one of those, Flin Flon was playing at home. They were probably loading up the team as they could. Back then, you could do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so he would have been one of those guys. I think he was drafted by the Washington Capitals, it says on his hockey DB in
round 3,
98.
59th overall, yep.
Round 3. Nice, okay. Yeah, no, it's interesting. Our guest coming up after 5 o'clock, he's never been on the show before. His name is Travis Ridgen. He's one half of the team that does the Slang and the Biscuit podcast. It's a good hockey podcast. It's out of Winnipeg. He's got an interesting hockey DB or elite prospects profile. He played his minor hockey in Winnipeg growing up, but he's a goalie, big goalie, 6'5". Ended up playing over in Sweden for a couple of years, and then he played some minor pro in the Federal League. And if you've ever been on the Federal League website, I think the slap shot, it was always all based on the Federal League, but you see some of these guys, they're not team photos, they're mug shots. Some of these guys look tough. Like, they're interesting customers. They would scare the Sportscage crew quite easily. So we're going to have him on after 5 o'clock to talk a little bit about that and about this Winnipeg Jets team, because it is special. We've talked about nobody wants to go there as a free agent. So what they've been able to do with the team that they have, you can't waste an opportunity like this. And we'll get his thoughts. We mentioned this earlier, that the Jays, an opening day for the rest of Major League Baseball doesn't happen until next week, but because they decided to play some games in Tokyo, the Major League Baseball regular season kicked off on Tuesday with the Dodgers and the Cubs playing some games at the Tokyo Dome. The Dodgers won the first game 4-1. And then yesterday, the Dodgers won game 2, 6-3. And one Shohei Ohtani came through with, it ended up being a home run, but it was a little confusing. Colson, roll it.
There's an absolute tank. Right center field. It is off the wall. To second goes Ohtani. To home goes Ohtani. It was a home run.
Yeah, it was confusing because they were thinking, was it fan interference or was it not? Did it hit the wall? Anyways, Shohei Ohtani showing off for the hometown fans. So the Dodgers, a quick 2-0 to start this regular season. The Jays, they were off today. They will play Tampa tomorrow. Like I said, the home opener is going to be next week, like with a lot of the teams. All right, it's time to take a break. So last week on the show, we had Dustin Edwards on, and we were talking rodeo and the Houston rodeo, which is still on. It'll wrap up this weekend. A lot of Canadians down there in the money and going to be going for buckles and big money this weekend. But we also talked about the entertainment that the rodeo has. They have a different star every night. And something crazy happened last Friday with one of the most popular bands in the world. We'll play it for you next. And it's a good thing the fans came through to do their part. That's coming up next on the Sports Cage right here on 620 CKRM.
620 CKRM on location.
Well, Jarrett back in Regina, thank you so very much for the phone call here. Your name is in the draw for all 85 draws in the Assiniboia Spring Fever Lotto. Still looking for a Terry from Stoughton, though. They haven't called yet. So, Terry, here in that Stoughton area, give us a shout here at 1-888-289-3276. This is the 30th year for the Assiniboia Spring Fever Lotto, and it has done a lot of fundraising work in this community. In particular, the latest project is the Southland Co-op Center. If you've never been down here, you got to check out that Southland Co-op Center. Maybe you've had kids or grandkids play in the Southland Co-op Center in Assiniboia. Well, then you know what it's all about. Absolutely gorgeous. And that's what this lottery has done over the years. And now it's moved on to other fundraising projects in Assiniboia and surrounding area. And you can be a part of that, too. $150,000 could be coming your way in May, but it won't if you don't have a ticket. $100 each, 1-888-289-3276. 1-888-289-3276.
I'm standing for Canada. Hi, this is Haley Wickenheiser, and I'm proud to be representing my country again. Every time I go shopping, let's support Canadian companies and buy products made in Canada. You'll be protecting Canadian jobs and Canadian business, kind of like standing on a podium while they play our anthem. Shop as if your country depends on it, because it does. Keep your money in Canada, for Canada.
Looking for a low-mileage vehicle that hasn't been driven to the moon and back? At Capital GMC, they have over 200 GM-certified pre-owned SUVs, cars, and trucks. Check out this special purchase on the 2024 Buick Encore GX Sport Touring all-wheel drive with leather interior, sunroof, and heated seats, starting at only $31,900, plus tax with a manufacturer-backed warranty and 24-hour roadside assistance. Plus, rates as low as 4.99%. Capital GMC is the GM-certified pre-owned vehicle destination at the corner of Rochdale and Pasqua in Regina.
Get it hot and get it fast. Western Pizza.
Some say the number 13 is bad luck, like walking under a ladder. Well, 13 is a very lucky number when you're talking Western Pizza. like their delicious 13-inch pepperoni from Western Pizza. That makes it, well, the luckiest number of all. Western Pizza. Big on toppings, big on taste. Dine in or take out. Order today.
And get it hot and get it fast. Western Pizza.
You say
move,
and your cows say you tell them
your water is right over there,
and they say you can't convince a cow to move to the water, so move the water to the cows with the Keln Solar Livestock Watering System. With the Keln Solar Livestock Watering System, you can put your pump pretty much anywhere without the cost of hooking up to the grid. Learn more about the Keln Solar Livestock Watering System at kelnsolar.com. Keln Solar, we move water.
Well, howdy, y'all. Wood Country Woody here. You ever been kissed by your mother-in-law? Brr, nothing chillier than that, except your house when the wind's out of the northwest. Fret not, my friend. It's John's Manville Insulation to the rescue from Wood Country. Insulation so good, even your mom-in-law will thaw a little. Get toasty, save money. John's Manville Insulation from Wood Country.
Your home is your castle.
In McLean, Estevan, and Tisdale. wood-country.com.
Get your equipment out of the rain and snow and under the roof of a new storage building from Olympic Buildings. Have a warm, dry place to work and keep everything out of the cold. Olympic Buildings, buildings to meet your budget. Visit olympic-buildings.ca.
Don't miss a minute of Sportscage. Podcasts are posted at sportscage.com. 620 CKRM.
62-62 if you want to get in on the action. Let's see. There's two games that we had Eric Francis on Inside the NHL. Eric is still in New York with the Flames. They're going to be in Jersey tomorrow night. There are just two games in the NHL tonight. Colorado is at Toronto and Seattle is at Minnesota. The one thing that's intriguing about the Colorado Avalanche, although not necessarily the biggest names, but they've added some quality players before and at the trade deadline, and they may be able to do some serious damage because the way it looks right now, Colorado and Dallas are going to meet in the first round. And one of those teams, and they're both loaded, is not moving on to the next round. So the Colorado Avalanche, can they do it? And against Toronto tonight in a high-flying team, so Anthony Stolarz, can you carry the mail? Joseph Wall, can you be the guy? Because the Leafs can score, but can they keep the puck out of their net? That obviously, Seattle, Minnesota, not necessarily the game of the night. All right, Colson says we have the video. So last week, we had Dustin Edwards on, and we were talking about the Houston Rodeo. It's from March 4th to the 23rd, longest rodeo ever. But every night they have like a killer lineup of entertainment. Everything from like Luke Bryan, Brooks and Dunn, Post Malone. Last Friday night was going to be Journey. Now, here's the thing, Journey, right? Classic rock band from the 80s, hit after hit after hit. Although Steve Perry's not there anymore, that Raul Pineda is the lead singer, you would never know the difference. But here's the thing, they were performing and the power, now get this, so the stage is moved out to the middle of the rodeo arena. And so everything's on, obviously, cables and all of that. The stage power went out when they were singing Don't Stop Believin'. And of course, if you're in the crowd, you wouldn't know otherwise. And then the crowd takes over to sing. So you can listen, and the video, here we go with the stream. Now, at this point, there's 60,000 people there. They have no idea that the power has gone out, and that effectively would cancel the concert because they were never able to get the power up quick enough to continue. So you're standing in the crowd thinking, oh, great, this is the sing-along part of the song. All right. And then nothing. So they eventually were able to get the house microphone to work to say, listen, due to unforeseen circumstances, the power is out. We can't continue the show. Show's over. Good night. Drive home safely. I'd be miffed. And I'd mentioned this, I think last week with Barney. I've seen Yeah, due to unforeseen electrical incident under the stage, we regretfully announce that the cancellation of tonight's Journey concert. We sincerely apologize to all fans. Our team is working diligently. They're going to try and reschedule and give refunds. After seeing Journey, to me, Don't Stop Believin' would be the encore, right? So if that was the case, okay, good. Show's kind of over. That's fine, but it's not. They play it somewhere in the middle of the set usually, and you can look it up, but it's not at the end, so they're going to have to do that. Colson, Alan, did you guys see this on social media? It's kind of taken over. So Jelly Roll was in Regina on the weekend. Last night he was in Winnipeg. Did you guys see the video? It's gone viral. There are two ladies in the crowd that say, "Hey, will you help us pay off our student loans? We're studying to be social workers because like social workers, help the rest of the world." Now, Jelly Roll, it's well documented. He's spent time in jail. He's battled addiction. He's had to use government funded services. Apparently he came out and said, "I got you." They exchanged it. So Jelly Roll is going to be paying off these two ladies' student loans because they made signs. And yeah, I happened to see it. I completely forgot. That's a pretty good clutch performer moment. Way to go, Jelly Roll. All we had from Jelly Roll Sunday at the Brand Center was some drunken idiots being dragged out before the show. Colson, maybe we'll try and dig that up. We'll do that after, play that after 5. But yeah, so I saw the interview. So they connected. One of the stage managers came out, talked to the ladies. They exchanged information, and he had told them, "Listen, we're going to verify you guys are in school. Jelly wants to see your grades, but yes, he's more than happy to do this for you because it's important." And I'm like, that's nice.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that, so yeah, that's nice.
That's what fame and money should be used for. It's a lightsaber, and you can use it for good. You don't got to be Darth Vader and use it for evil.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, Al, and I'm not saying that there's wrestling coming to Regina anytime soon, but if you were to make a sign, I don't know what it's going to say. If you're looking for help from LA Knight or maybe Roman Reigns, Colson, I don't know what event you're taking a sign to.
Not a wrestling, that's for sure.
But here's the thing. Now that this is going to go viral, at every Jelly Roll concert going forward, could you imagine the signs and the asks that he's going to be getting from my mother-in-law needs a kidney to I want to buy, will you pay off my souped up diesel, to everything in between?
Literally.
It's going to be quite interesting.
Yeah. We'll see if we can track that down for you. And there's a couple of them, but I saw it first around noon today, and then within 20 minutes, the algorithm had picked it up, and I'd seen it at least 2 more times on different channels and different feeds, because now it's going to be everywhere, and it's probably going to make the national news. Like, it's where even uncool news outlets, and there's a lot of them, it's called traditional media, will be like, singer at concert pays off student loan. It'll be like, well, no, it's Jelly Roll. It was in Winnipeg, and yeah, he did do that. So
touching back to the Journey concert, I found the video of where it the power cuts out in the middle. So we can run that quick here. Yeah, and then
run it.
Head into news.
Okay, sure, run it. What goes on? Yeah, there it goes. Up and down the boat. Yeah, and it's funny, if you're in the crowd, you would have no idea that this all wasn't part of the show and planned. They turn off the lights, they let the crowd sing, and then you go, but then eventually it's just you. And it's always funny to find out who actually does know the lyrics to that song that you've heard a million times. Not that easy, right? When it's you and you get put on the spot. All right, time to take a break. When we come back, Travis Ridgen will join us from the Sling of the Biscuit podcast out of Winnipeg. We're going to talk minor pro hockey, him playing in Europe, And these Winnipeg Jets, who are tied for first place in the National Hockey League with 98 points, will do that next. If you're watching the show at sportscage.com on our YouTube channel, thanks. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you like. And on the radio, it's 620 CKRM.
The Country Music Rewind with Colin Lovequist.
We'll look back at some of the big shakers and movers of the country music scene. Some cats reinvented themselves. Others, they did what works for them the best. We'll feature the top 25 on your Country Music Rewind.
The Country Music Rewind with Colin Lovequist. Brought to you by Crawford's No Frills. Saturday afternoons at 4 and Sunday afternoons at 1 on Country's Greatest Hits. 620 CKRM. 620 CKRM on location.
An update here on the 50-50 at the Assiniboia Spring Fever Lotto. A take home just over $44,000, just shy of $45,000, and that's going to continue to grow. Still lots of time to buy your tickets, but you know what? You want to buy your tickets now, because if you wait after this weekend, you won't be in for the 85 draws. You'll be in for the 55 draws. So why not make that call right now so that you are in for all 85 draws. The first 30 will be happening this weekend, and then coming up on April the 27th, it's the draw for the 3-day fishing trip to beautiful Twin Falls Lodge, or $5,000. And then the big one is coming up on May the 25th. You have some options here. There's that vehicle package where you could win a 2025 GMC Hummer EV SUV, or you could take the airplane if you want. There's also the New Holland Ranch Pack, or the John Deere Ranch Pack, or the Case IH Farm Pack, and of course $150,000. Give us a call. Tickets $100 each. Ask about that mega pack and get your 50-50 at 1-888-289-3276, 1-888-289-3276.
Hey farmers, Canada's Farm Show is here. Are you ready? Come on down and meet Core Grain March 18th, 19th, and 20th in booths 11359 and 11386 to chat with our experts about smarter grain storage and handling solutions. Core Grain is your trusted partner for grain storage solutions across the prairies, dedicated to offering you the best grain storage and handling systems. We work tirelessly to customize grain monitoring and conditioning systems to fit your specific vineyard plan, now and in the future. Core Grain, doing the right thing for your farm. See you at Canada's Farm Show.
It's the start of a new year. Time to get financially fit. If you're looking to open an RRSP or a TFSA, maximize an existing account, or update your investment mix, Cooperators can provide the personalized advice and service you need. Want to start the new year on the right financial foot? Contact your local advisor to build a plan that works for you. Cooperators, investing in your future together.
We're turning up the heat on trades at Capital GMC. Get into a new vehicle and keep your payment low with the $2,500 trade-in bonus. We're talking payments as low as $299 bi-weekly plus tax for a brand new Sierra. Or get into a GM-certified pre-owned vehicle complete with manufacturer's warranty, roadside assistance, and more. Plus, Capital's 100K giveaway is back. Check out capital100k.ca for your chance to win. Turning up the heat on trades at Capital GMC. Proud member of the Capital Automotive Group.
Sask Lotteries has 50 years of winning behind us. And you know what that means? Lots of winning numbers. Numbers like over 1,200 organizations funded and 12,000 plus groups supported. $6 million given away annually in community grants. And the winningest number of all? $1.4 billion given back to the people of Saskatchewan through sport, culture, and recreation. And we're just getting started. Help us grow the next 50. Learn more at sasklotteries.ca.
Country's greatest hits live right here. 620 CKRM, a Harvard media station.
It's 5 o'clock. Good afternoon. It's sunny and it's -1 in Regina. I'm Corey Atkinson from the sasktoday.ca newsroom with 620 CKRM News for Echo Sound and for Qu'Appelle. Stay connected with a new cell phone from Echo Sound. Call 306-332-6711. Finance Minister Jim Ryder unveiled his first budget at the legislature. With more, here's Sask Today's John Cairns.
The 2025 provincial budget is balanced. That's the story to emerge from the afternoon. The budget was officially tabled in the legislature on Wednesday afternoon by Finance Minister Jim Ryder. He confirmed the province will have a projected $12 million surplus. Here are the details on the main areas. For affordability, the budget includes the income tax changes from the Saskatchewan Affordability Act. That is an estimated savings of $250 million this year. The health care budget is up. They are receiving $8.1 billion, up 6.4%. That includes planning for building 5 new urgent care centers across the province, including second locations in Regina and Saskatoon. Education will get $3.5 billion, up $184 million, or 5.5%. And community safety is a major focus, with corrections, policing, and public safety getting $798 million. There was much talk in the days leading up to the budget on what would happen given the threat of tariffs from the U.S. and China. In the end, the budget does not include a specific contingency fund, with Jim Ryder pointing to the uncertainty of the whole situation. But to sum up, it's a balanced budget in Saskatchewan. At the legislature, for Sask Today, I'm John Cairns.
Canola farmers across the prairies are bracing for potentially devastating 100% tariffs on canola oil and canola meal starting tomorrow. China, one of Canada's largest canola export markets, is imposing the tariffs in response to 100% taxes on Chinese electric vehicles that came into effect last summer. Clinton Monchuk, a fourth-generation canola farmer from Lanigan, Saskatchewan, says the tariffs pose an existential threat to his 119-year-old farm.
It's going to cost us well over $100,000 if this continues just on canola. So you can imagine all the other commodities and some of the increase in costs. Like it's not good. It doesn't make any sense.
The federal government hasn't announced supports for farmers who are asking Ottawa to cover losses or resolve the trade battle. And one of the world's major environmental groups must pay damages for actions related to protests nearly a decade ago.
Energy Transfer and its Dakota Access subsidiary accused Greenpeace International and its U.S. subsidiaries of carrying out a scheme to block construction of the Dakota Access pipeline. A jury in North Dakota has agreed, awarding the energy companies hundreds of millions of dollars in damages. Greenpeace said their employees were not involved in the 2016 and 17 protests and that the lawsuit was an attack on the First Amendment. Brian Clark, ABC News.
It's 5:03, and that's your 620 CKRM News. Read more stories from around your community and around the province at sasktoday.ca and 620ckrm.com. Your weather is next.
Oh, finally. There it is.
Oh, did you order pizza?
No, even better. I called Echo Sound, your SaskTel authorized dealer.
Oh, so what'd you order?
Well, they have all the top-of-the-line smartphones with all the latest features and so many great plans, man.
Oh, nice.
Oh, it is the pizza guy. Hey, guy.
Tell him to go away. We're waiting on Echo Sound.
Echo Sound, your SaskTel authorized dealer in Fort Qu'Appelle. EchoSound.ca.
We'll still take the pizza, though.
Who's really on Saskatchewan's side? The Liberals? They imposed a carbon tax, clawed back our healthcare transfers, and canceled pipelines. The NDP? Jagmeet Singh always took Trudeau's side, keeping him in power so he could get his pension. Your Conservative MPs fight the carbon tax, support Saskatchewan's energy workers, and defend our health payments. Only Conservatives are always on Saskatchewan's side. This message brought to you by Warren Steinley, MP for Regina Louvain.
It's 5:04, and I'm Corey Atkinson with your 620 CKRM Precision Weather Forecast, brought to you by Linex Regina. Serious protection, killer looks, 1865 McCarra Street. Now, here's Precision Weather meteorologist Phil Spivak.
Temperature overnight tonight, -8. We get to 2 degrees on the plus side tomorrow, and then tumble back to -12 for Thursday night. A cooler air mass comes in for Friday. We get back to sunshine. We're at -5 for the high. Through this stretch, not much wind. For a little while during the night Thursday night, the wind will pick up, 15 to 25, gusts to 30 or 35. Then it backs right back down on Friday. Another storm system comes in on Saturday, and once again, there is some variability with this one as far as just how much moisture it's going to bring in with it. The track of the storm cuts across the northern U.S. That is not generally a good track for us to get a lot of precipitation, and this is no exception. Likely getting to and a little north of the border, some moderate snowfall. Most of the area, though, a centimeter or two on Saturday. But again, a close call, a little bit of a northern track, any extra disturbance on the north side, we get some heavier snow on Saturday. -1 is the high. Some leftover flurries give way to partial sunshine Sunday, the high near 1. Temperatures look to be near normal for much of the first part of next week.
Across the province at this hour, Saskatoon is +1, Swift Current is +5, Assiniboia +6, Broadview Moosomin 0, Yorkton Melville 0, Estevan +4, and Weyburn is +3. At this hour in Moose Jaw, it's mostly sunny. Winds are from the southwest at 18, and it's +5. Regina is sunny. Winds are from the south at 7, and it's -1. For more local news that matters to you, subscribe to our daily newsletter at sasktoday.ca.
When you want the best for your truck, you want Line-X. Your truck has withstood the harshest elements Saskatchewan has thrown at it. Rocks, gravel, rain, sleet, and snow, and left with no chips, no rust. Line-X protective coating keeps your truck's bed liners, rocker panels, and bumpers looking like brand new. Don't settle for Brand X. Go with Line-X. It's serious protection. Come see why everybody loves taking their truck to Line-X Regina for their rocker panels, bumpers, and more. Line-X. Make your truck complete. 1865 McCarra Street.
CoolBet has all the hot games. For all the free-to-play casino games, head to coolbet.co. They've got sports odds, including Saskatchewan senior hockey, plus all the sports odds you can think of. From the ice to the field to the court, CoolBet has you covered. All at your fingertips. No risk, just thrill. So why wait? Get in the game and embrace the unexpected at coolbet.co.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sports Cage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Regina Motor Products, proudly serving Saskatchewan for over 70 years. Visit rnpchevrolet.com today. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
It's the final hour of the Sports Cage on this Wednesday afternoon. It's Maz in for Barney today. He'll be back tomorrow. Want to be part of the show? Prairieland Rentals text line 306-936-6262. Sports Cage is brought to you by Regina Motor Products. Dents or dings? Visit the RMP SGI accredited full-service collision center and body shop. Regina Motor Products. Book today. Busy night for local hockey in southern Saskatchewan. You've got Prairie Junior Hockey League action, Junior B. Regina Capitals in Fort Capel to take on Fort Knox. Face off at 7:30. Fort Knox is up in this series 2-0. For any chance for the Caps to have a shot at this, they got to win tonight. They can't go down 3-0 and then expect to come back and beat Fort Knox 4 straight. You got senior hockey tonight in Lumsden. The Monarchs taking on the Raymore Rockets. Game 2 of their QVHHL playoff series. Lumsden is up 1-0. Face-off there will go 8 o'clock. And down the Trans-Canada and Swift Current, it's Game 4 tonight. Moose Jaw Warriors taking on the Swift Current Legionnaires. Legionnaires with a 2-1 series lead. Face-off in Swift Current goes tonight at 7:30. All right, let's go out on the Western Pizza guest hotline and bring in our next guest. We were just talking about Winnipeg before the start of the hour and Jelly Roll. Maybe he was there. He's one half of the Slang and the Biscuit podcast, a good hockey podcast if you're looking for something interesting to watch and to listen to. Grew up in Winnipeg, went on to play some pro hockey in Europe and then down in the States, and we'll ask him about that. Travis Ridgen, welcome to the Sports Cage. How are you, my friend?
Maz, thanks for having me on, brother. Appreciate the nice warm intro. Good to be here.
No problem. So, Winnipeg is home for you, correct?
Born and raised, very patriotic, yes.
Okay, so last night or the other night, Jelly Roll played in Winnipeg, and two ladies in the audience made a signs that said, "Listen, we're students. Will you pay off our student loans?" And it's gone viral today. He said yes, and he's going to do it. I'm not sure if you were at the Jelly Roll concert, if you were there, if you saw it live. Like, because Jelly didn't do that in Regina. Didn't pay out no student loans here, just doing it there.
I don't know, man. Maybe there's not enough student debt in Regina for him to consider. I'll say this. You know what? The drummer, Cody, he drums for Jelly Roll. He ended up following me on Instagram the other day. He actually just started watching the show as well. So kind of a full circle moment for you to bring up there.
Nice. Okay, so grew up Winnipeg, played your minor hockey there, but then you end up going to go play in Europe, and then you play some minor pro down in the States. How does a guy from Winnipeg end up? You were in Sweden, correct?
Yep, 2 years in Sweden.
So what's the journey? How do you end up getting there?
I don't know if you heard. There was this thing that happened in 2020 where they closed the rinks down. You couldn't really play anywhere. So I was like, well, I guess I better figure out a plan here. So It's actually kind of funny. I remember I had an agent at the time, and we had this opportunity in Sweden. And he said, I think this is a good opportunity. It's a good safety net. And this is probably like March, like early April of 2020 at the time. And he said, you want to sign? And I said, I think this is a good idea. They're the only country that's open at this point in time. Why don't we sign the deal? And at least worst case, we have a backup option. He said, I don't know, man. I think we should sit on it. I said, no, let's just sign it. Fast forward to June, July, August. It was like the only country that was still open at the time. And then I ended up going to Sweden. That first year was just outside Stockholm in a town called Flemingsburg. It was awesome. And then my next year was in a town called Varberg, just outside of Gothenburg. And man, it was really, really awesome. Really cool culture, great people. The hockey was different. The lifestyle was different. It was just an amazing experience. I recommend anybody try it if you can.
Travis Ridgen joining us on the Western Pizza guest hotline here. He's part of the Slang and the Biscuit podcast. Now, you're a goalie, so you spend some time in Sweden. And when you say that the hockey is different, what makes it different? I mean, obviously, it could be size of ice, but in your mind, how is it different than North American hockey?
Sure. I'm just going to speak from the goalie perspective because I'm not a player. I am a goalie, but I found the guys were like super patient with the puck. There'd be guys all alone, like wide open in the slot. They make an extra pass. They took their sweet time. Nowhere near as much physicality. So nowhere near as many guys coming to the front of the net. A lot of like finesse plays as opposed to when I went back to North America when I was playing, in the Gulf Coast in Mississippi or upstate New York. It was just greasy goals, guys throwing pucks in the net and trying to chip away. But in Sweden, they're a lot more finessed. And I found that was a lot more beneficial to my playing style. So,
okay, so if we're following your elite prospects profile from Europe, it's on to the Motor City Rockers, then the Watertown Wolves and the Mississippi Sea Wolves in the Federal Prospects Hockey League. Just saying Federal Prospects Hockey League, it sounds tough. And I was looking at some of the player photos. There's some killers in that. There's some dudes. Those are mugshots. Those are player profile. What kind of league is the Federal Prospects Hockey League?
Oh, dude, I the second last team I played for in Watertown, we had 3 guys that were in prison. They came out of jail and they came to play for us. It was a crazy place to play. They actually, and here's a story for you too. So the Federal Prospects Hockey League, they had to change the team or the league name. One of the players got released, wasn't happy about it, ended up suing them, and they had to change it from the Federal Hockey League to the Federal Prospects Hockey League. One of those players was also a former federal inmate. So kind of interesting how that all shaped up.
Now, is this the Federal Prospects Hockey League? You're playing for the love of the game because I'm assuming the money's not big. There's probably not necessarily tons of perks and fancy cars and houses and all that. You're riding the iron lung, I would assume. What's life like in the Federal League?
Well, they give you the old BMW, bus, metro, walk, but that's about it. I think when I played, I think league minimum was $125 a week, which is what I made. I think they bumped it up to $150 last year. But wow. you make that every single week. So I guess like $500, $600 US a month, depending on the month that you're playing in or how many weeks there are. Sometimes the food's covered at home. All the food in the road's covered. All the hotels are covered. Free sticks, some free gear. But yeah, nobody's getting rich anytime soon. You love the game, and it's a challenge to say the least.
So you have to love what you're doing because obviously that's not. I mean, if you were to say to somebody, "Hey, do you want to get paid $500 a month?" A lot of people say, "Well, no, I just can't live on that." But there's probably all sorts of interesting characters with everybody's probably got a unique story, right? Like there's probably guys you're never, ever going to forget from your time in that league.
Oh, dude, every single walk of life. One that stands out the most, former NHL player Ian White, he played 500 NHL games, fellow Winnipegger as well, played for the Leafs, got traded to Calgary, played for the
he played for the Swift Current Broncos. Yeah.
So he had a really interesting story. So I think his last year, he played for Detroit on a deep pairing with Nick Lidstrom. For whatever reason, had a little bit of a road rage incident, cops came, they ended up trying to throw him in jail. Basically ended his career, went down the hard path of drug abuse, and didn't play for a very long time. And then in 2022, when I was in Motor City, our GM comes in, "Hey, we got this guy Ian White. Anybody ever heard of him?" I'm like, "Ian White? That guy's from Winnipeg." Oh, and by the way, Reggie, he's going to be sitting beside you. And it was so weird because, he came in, he sat beside me in the locker room, and a lot of the guys were like, "Oh my God, like, can I talk to that guy? That's Ian White. He played 500 NHL games. It's like, he's your teammate. Of course you can talk to him." But he was so cool. I remember one time we were having team lunch. We're on the road. We just got into Delaware from Michigan, went to Ruby Tuesdays for lunch. I think Whitey had like a Salisbury steak or whatever for lunch. And he was telling some story. I can't remember, the context of the story. Something in Winnipeg when he was on a PTO at the Jets. But the second he started talking, everybody stopped eating. They stopped what they're doing. They dropped their forks and knives, and everybody just listened. It was a magical moment just to see the kind of power that he'd harness when he would tell stories. He was a great storyteller as well, but all kinds of walks of life I definitely played with.
The one thing, when Ian White, and he wasn't the biggest guy, but man, he was so good and so smooth, and he fit into the NHL in a time when the NHL was a little rougher and a little different. Like, cause he wasn't a big man, but he learned how to play that game, and then to see that, you're like, oh, okay. So you're doing the hockey thing, and what leads you down to starting the Slang and the Biscuit podcast? Because everybody in the world's got a podcast. I got one outside of this. Everybody does. What brought you to Along and McQuaid or the Amazon page where you could buy your microphone, your mixer, to plug it into the laptop? You're like, I'm going to take over the podcast world.
Well, it was like spring of 2021, and I was sitting at home. I had nothing to do, and a friend of mine at the time, he had tried starting a podcast. It wasn't overly successful, and then, go figure, I said, why don't we do a podcast? We'll do a sports show. I just played my first year in Sweden. I think he just signed a deal to go play on the East Coast at the time. We did it for about a year. We didn't get a whole lot of traction. We got maybe 1,000 listeners on a good week, and we ended up having some creative differences, so we kind of parted ways, and I kind of sat on the show for a couple months, and then Winnipeg radio icon Dave Wheeler, he'd give me a shout out on his morning show. He'd been talking about how he'd been watching my vlogs over in Sweden that I've been posting on YouTube. He said, love the vlogs. They're great. Everybody should check it out. And I thought, I've been listening to Dave since I was a kid. Like, I remember going to high school, getting dropped out of high school and listening to Dave's morning show. So I reached out, sent him an email. Big fan of your show. Appreciate the kind words. Would you ever be interested in coming on the show with me? And he said, yeah, sure. Let's do it. I don't get a chance to talk enough sports on my morning show, so I'll come do it for free. And we, in my biased opinion, we captured lightning in a bottle. The audience loved it, and we kept growing. And we've been doing it for coming up on, I guess it would be 3 years now together.
We'll have you on again, and we'll get into why he doesn't like Saskatchewan. But it is, I've seen the podcast out there where he likes parts of the province, but not other parts of the province. So depending, here's one thing I will ask you about the podcast before we get into the Jets. I've seen the show, or I've seen some clips where sometimes I've seen one large Starbucks. I've seen two large Starbucks. There was one show I saw. You had 3 large Starbucks cups in front of you. What are you drinking, my man, to get yourself going for the podcast? What's
Black
your drink
coffee.
of choice from there? It's just black coffee. Okay.
Sometimes it's black, sometimes a little bit of cream in there. It's it's a little bit of satire and a little bit of rage bait in there too. Because if you listen to some of the hot clips, or like you really pay attention to some of the details and some of the rants that I do, I think the one you're talking about where I had the 3 Starbucks cups. So I go to Starbucks, get a coffee, and they give free refills if you sit in the store. So I collect all my free refills, I bring them in the studio, and I put the 3 cups in the desk, because when you're watching the video version of the show, you'll see that, and you'll ask yourself the same question you're asking. Why does this man have 3 cups of coffee on his desk? Or what is it even coffee? Is it a flat white? Is it a frappuccino? What is it? I don't know, because you can't see inside the cup. And then sometimes I'll make rants where, I go off on, you people drinking a frappuccino, or you drinking your BS latte. And then people will see the clip and say, well, he's drinking a latte. Well, you don't know what I'm drinking a latte. You just see 3 cups. You don't know what's inside, but it gets people thinking, and it kind of triggers the algorithm, because they'll come in the comment section and get upset that I called out their favorite Starbucks drink. So there's lots of layers to the show.
All I could think is, in this economy, he can afford 3 large Starbucks coffees. Wow, that good. I don't know what they're doing in Winnipeg on podcasts, but they're doing something right. Travis,
Maz, if I could give you the biggest hack in the world, Starbucks, they have the refill policy. So if you come in the store, you get a drink, you sit in the store, you can get unlimited hot or iced coffee or tea refills. So you just continue to collect them, and you can take them out of the store whenever you're done. And they also have like the greatest ice water in the world. I don't mean to plug Starbucks for free here, but they have this like triple filtered. Oh, you know what I'm talking about. It's fantastic.
I got kids. The kids love it.
Especially if you're traveling in the airport, instead of spending $10 on a bottle of Days in it, you can go to Starbucks, get it for free, get a superior water. It's absolute travel hack of the pros.
Yeah. All right. So these Winnipeg Jets, I was mentioning earlier in the show, they've had an incredible season. It's been really special. But now it's getting down to crunch time. They're tied for first place with the Washington Capitals, and nobody wants to win the President's Trophy, because that is it's the kiss of death in the NHL, because you're not going to win the Stanley Cup. From the start of the season, the Jets have been really good. What have you seen that has made them, to me, the top team in the NHL from start to finish so far this year?
World-class goaltending. if you look at the course of NHL champion teams over the past 20 years, it's always been some form of good goaltending. I get you have a couple exceptions like the 2010 Blackhawks. They had Niemi and Ned, who wasn't great, or Colorado in 2022. They had Darcy Kemper. He was okay, but he wasn't terrible. But they all made the saves at the big time, and they have, in my opinion, the best goaltender in the world, Connor Hellebuck, who's not over flashy. He's not flexible. He's not crazy athletic, but his systems and his ability to read the play, his hockey IQ. I don't know if there's a goaltender on this planet that can read pucks and read plays the way that he does. He's just so elite, and he's so efficient. He rarely, if ever, leaves the crease, and he's just putting his body, center mass of the puck, right place, right time. Sounds easy, but when you have the puck moving, the players moving, the game's faster than it's ever been before, and he's able to do it so efficiently night in and night out. I think he's got 53 or 54 games played at this point in time, so I want to start kind of watching the mileage he's putting on towards the playoffs, because only 2 times, I think, in the last 20 years has a team won the cup where their starting cup-winning goalie has started 60 or more games. So I would really want to dial back that mileage, but man, is he good, and he's fun to watch too.
We've talked on this show a lot, and it's no secret. Winnipeg is on a lot of players' no-trade lists, so building that roster and what Chynoweth has had to do takes a lot of magic, and you have to find the right kind of guys willing to come to do the right things, because it's not South Beach. It's freezing cold in winter. There's not the perks. There's a lot of tax, okay? There's no income tax. There's all of that. To me, they can't squander a year like this, because I don't know how many more years you get of this if you're the Winnipeg Jets. Does this have to be the year where it goes all the way through and clicks and they have to make the Stanley Cup final?
I think you'd have to. You have guys like Connor who are having career seasons. I don't know how much longer Scheifele's been around. And I think, just like I mentioned earlier, being tied together by the goaltending they have, like to have, this isn't 2010 anymore where 10 or 15 guys a year are putting up 920, 925, 930 save percentages. If you look, the average save percentage in the NHL this season is a 9 or an 898, which is terrible across the standards for the last 10 years. Like, you need 910 plus to be successful. And when you have Connor Hellebuck, who's pitching the 925, 930 night in, night out, I think I saw a stat the other day, 31 of the 53 starts, he's had a 950 save percentage or more. Tell me a time in history you're going to have goaltending like this. Like, I would agree with you. You have to get it done, especially when you have a guy playing this well. You can't waste that.
Okay, in the Western Conference, who's the Winnipeg Jets kryptonite team?
Oof. That's a good question. Dallas is looking good, although they spanked Dallas the other night. Colorado, I really like the Avalanche with the pickup of Blackwood. They've lacked a strong goaltender the past couple of years, so having Blackwood, even though they've lost Rantanen and a couple other pieces, I like the Avalanche quite a bit. The Oilers, man, they're in trouble too. Their goaltending is terrible, to put it nicely.
Yeah. I think I saw you said, like, they both, Skinner and Picard, both have a save percentage in the 890s, and there's no way that cuts that for any team. Like, you can't, out of your backup maybe, but out of your 1A starter, you can't have that. Like, that doesn't get you to the Stanley Cup final again.
I think you can give a little bit of wiggle room to the Oilers, because this is a team similar to the 80s where, like with Grant Fuhr, he wasn't great. He wasn't world class. He just made the big save when you needed it most. And most importantly, he didn't give up more than the other guys. So we scored 10. He's given up 9 or less. Doesn't sound impressive, but there's a bit of an art to it about having that timing and that professionalism. But I think Skinner, he's like 26th or 27th in the league save percentage wise of starting goalies. So there's only 4 guys that have been worse than him. And I don't know if you want to go into a playoff run with the talent you have and the lack of defense, having the 27th best goaltender or 4th worst goaltender in the league. So they're going to be on thin ice. They really are.
You mentioned Dallas, and if it was the Jake Ottinger of 3 years ago, I'd say all day long they pick up Rantanen. But for some reason, Ottinger just doesn't. He looks like he's been off all year. You're a goalie. Are you seeing something with him that he hasn't been as good as he has been in the past?
I don't know, man. He got engaged over the summer. That could have changed quite a bit. Who knows? But he statistically, hey, you never know, man. I have a couple analogies on that one. I don't know if they're radio appropriate, but stat wise, I saw a stat the other day that, like, goals saved above average. So making an impact on his team, he was like 27th or 28th versus Hellebuck. Considering you're going to have to go up against Blackwood, who's been incredible, or Hellebuck, that, like you mentioned, I don't know if I'm overly optimistic about Ottinger, but he's been good in the playoffs the past couple of years. Kind of a little bit leaky last year in the playoffs against the Oilers. For whatever reason, they just got the better of him. But I guess we'll see, right?
All right. Travis Ridgen is joining us, Slanging the Biscuit podcast on the Western Pizza guest hotline. So as it sits right now, the Vancouver Canucks, they win last night. They beat the Jets 6-2. Trust me, when I was going through my phone, I'm like, what? I had to check to see if it was a typo because the Jets haven't lost game 6-2, and not just the Vancouver. So you got Vancouver and Minnesota as your wild cards. Let's say Minnesota doesn't falter and they stay where they are. Flames, Canucks, Blues, Utah. Who do you think is that 8th wild card spot in the West?
I'm hoping for Calgary and Vancouver. Ideally, you want as many Canadian teams in as possible so we can finally break the Bettman drought. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably go with the Canucks. There's something about them. They're a little bit shiesty, a little bit greasy. I don't mind the way the Lankinen's been playing. Hot take. Yeah, I think Demko might be the most underrated guy coming in the playoffs if he can get healthy. It's kind of like, I don't know if you're much of a crypto guy, but if, putting money into Bitcoin right now would be a really good idea. And putting some money into Thatcher Demko would be a really good idea as well. I think he's got like an 860 save percentage this season. He's been terrible. But it's tough to get into the race when you're starting on a push bike and you've had 3 different injuries, right? So, and he was so good last year. I mean, if he's in net, they're going to the conference finals against Dallas. They're probably in the cup final against Florida. But he just hasn't been able to put it together. So I'm also biased too because I split time between Winnipeg and Vancouver. And living in Vancouver last summer, I've said this on the podcast a couple times. I was really hoping they wouldn't lose or they wouldn't win, so that they wouldn't burn the city down. My apartment wasn't too far away from the arena, so fingers crossed. We want to win, but not by too much, obviously.
So the Ottawa Senators are in the 7th spot as far as wild card goes. Are you buying Senator stock? Is it real?
On the topic of Bitcoin, I don't know who's more volatile, Linus Olmark or crypto, dude. Like this guy, you get 5 games with a 930, you get 5 games with an 820. Like you have no idea what you're getting. He's so inconsistent. So it's anybody's guess, to be honest with you. If they get in, great. Obviously we want to see more Canadian teams in, but he's the linchpin of that in Ottawa. And if he's not hot, they're in real deep trouble.
Leafs, Florida, Tampa. Who do you think ends up in first place in the Eastern Conference here when all's said and done? Because it's just a couple of points, and they were all running 7-3, and now they're all running 5-5. Like they've all been up and down at the same time, and it's going to be a dogfight to the end. It looks like
it's going to be tough. It's going to be one of the Florida teams, obviously. It's interesting though because you just got Brad Marchand, the Leafs killer, the Leafs slayer of the past decade in Florida. So now the Leafs have to beat that guy and the Panthers, who are just a thick, heavy team. And then you have probably the most money goaltender the past 730 days with Sergei Bobrovsky, who just makes big saves at big times. He's just so flexible. He's so mobile. He's so dynamic. And if he's not the best in the world, well, tell me the guy at the other end of the state isn't just as good. Andre Vasilevsky with I think a 920 something save percentage. He's having the best statistical year since 18-19. So you got to go past a back-to-back cup champion team or the other team that's been to back-to-back finals and won last year. So if you're the Leafs and you're slumping, I don't know if I like that one, Maz. I don't know. I think that they're out first round. Another first round handshake.
Oh my God. Here's like the Dallas Cowboys, win or lose, this internet's undefeated when it comes to social media and the Leafs. Like it's funny no matter what happens. It's a little funnier when they don't win Stanley Cup. So our Twitter poll question today, and we'll wrap on this. Alexander Ovechkin needs 8 goals. There's 14 games left. Does he get it by the end of the regular season? Yes, no, or if it's yes, do you just want it to not be an empty net goal? Does it, in your mind, because that highlight's going to get shown again and again and again. Mm-hmm. Do you want it to be a real one and not an empty netter?
I mean, it's got to be the one-timer from The Office. I mean, that's what we'd all ideally like to see. But then again, Gretzky, when he broke the 50 goals in 38 games, what was it? It was on an empty netter from center ice. So I think the bigger question is, well, a couple questions. This guy's 4th all-time in hits. Only 3 guys have more hits in NHL history than Alex Ovechkin. He's 5th in the league in goals despite missing 6 weeks with a busted leg, which also I'm curious, how do you come back in 6 weeks from a busted leg? I'd like to know a little more about
Russian
that.
medicine. Yeah.
I want to see the medical reports.
Uh-huh.
But also, too, this guy's missed a season and a half with lockouts. They missed the 04-05 season, full entire season, and then half of 12-13. So if he's playing, let's just round down and be generous, 120 games. Where is he sitting all the time? Are we sitting closer to 1,000 goals? Like, that's a good question to ask. And most importantly, they might win the President's Cup, the President's Trophy. I hope that they win the Cup because I want to see one last summer of Ovi waffled in the, where was he, in the fish pond?
Having a pizza. In the fountain.
Yeah, he had no idea where he was, if he was in Moscow or he was in downtown DC. Like, I'd love to see one more summer of that.
Speaking of the Cup, last year, I mean, keep in mind, I'm not an Oiler fan. It was neat to see Florida win, but here's the thing where it really hit home. After the game, when Paul Maurice gave that speech, and I'm not from Winnipeg, I'm born in Saskatchewan and all that, but when he talked about how now that he'd won the Cup, he wants it for the Winnipeg Jets and their fans, tell me you didn't get emotional watching that, being a Winnipeg guy.
I'll be honest with you, Maz. I didn't get too emotional. I'm usually in the same mood every day regardless, but I did see the interview and I thought to myself, that's a man who was touched by the city of Winnipeg, which is really, it's really cool. Like, we don't have a whole lot of things going on in Winnipeg, right? Like, my cup of coffee playing professional hockey, whether I was gone for 9 days or 9 months, Winnipeg was the exact same. Nothing really ever changes. It's the same people doing the same thing. The fact that he was that touched, and that was his first comment, was, I want to see the Winnipeg Jets win. That was a magical moment.
Well, I think a lot of people that listen to the Sports Cage are rooting for the Jets, because we had a Twitter poll last week. We're like, Flames, Oilers, Canucks, and it was a runaway, the Jets. And there's a lot of fans, delusional maybe. I don't know, but whatever. Hey, listen, if you attack our social medias and give us clicks and likes, that we don't care what your mental state is. The Jets are winning the Cup. Hey, Travis, thanks for this. Travis Ridgen, Slang the Business Podcast. The podcast, you can find it on the socials, Apple, Spotify. Spell it out, the slang, and for people if they're going to go searching here in their search bar to download what you and Dave are doing.
Sure. So that's another thing where we spelt it one way but say it a different way, so it kind of gets you thinking. Although, like, when you have the titles up on the screen, it's a little bit odd and a little bit hard to read. But it's slangin', so SLNGIN, and then biscuit, like Limp Biscuit, like keep on rolling, BIZKIT.
Okay. Trust me, if you have to type it in a couple times, you're probably not the only one that's ever had to do that or whatever. So, and you guys do new shows. It's every Sunday, right?
Every single Sunday on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. Yep. And the daily clips on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, you name it.
All righty. That's Travis Ridgen from the Slang and the Biscuit podcast. Thanks, my friend. Hopefully we can do this again once the playoffs are on. All right, it's time to take a break here on the Sports Cage. And when we come back, not the busiest night in the Western Hockey League, but there's some key games as the playoff race heats up. Down to the final few games, season will wrap this weekend. Blades, Warriors, Wheat Kings, all fighting in that Eastern Conference to find out where the seeding will fall. We'll dive into that next. It's the Sports Cage. We're streaming on our YouTube channel at sportscage.com and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Every Sunday morning, wake up to country music legends on 620 CKRM. Sunday Morning Classics. Celebrate the legends that paved the way and define the heart and soul of country music. Relive the unforgettable classic hits and the legacy of country's greatest artists. Join us this Sunday and every Sunday as we honor the icons who brought country music to life. It's a journey through the rich history of country music. Sunday Morning Classics for Regina Funeral Home and Cemetery. Sundays at 8 a.m. on the Voice of Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM.
The wait is over. Moose Jaw is ready to host the BKT World Men's Curling Championship. Team Jacobs is your Team Canada. Be there to cheer on our nation's best as they take on teams from around the world and battle to be crowned World Curling Champion. Saskatchewan, let's get loud and proud. Single draw tickets available from just $15. March 29th to April 6th at Temple Gardens Center. Get your tickets now at curling.ca.
Future Ford has been serving the Melville area for over 30 years. They've had some changes over the years, but the one thing they focus on is the future. Their staff are ready for what's to come. Ford Tech is changing all the time, with new connected vehicle technology like EV, self-driving, and more. They are part of a large dealer group with access to hundreds of vehicles of all makes, so they can help you find yours. Check out their full inventory 24/7 and book a test drive today at www.futureford.ca. Get ready to drive into the future. Why? Because the future is Future Ford.
Hi, I'm Terry at Powerlift Doors. We're a family-owned company that prides ourselves on serving all of Saskatchewan with the highest quality product. Here at Raymore, I will personally design, engineer, build, and install your hydraulic door to make sure it's done right. From small to extremely large, farm buildings to airplane hangars, new build or retrofit with the least loss of headroom in the industry. Check us out today at sask.powerliftdoors.com or give us a call at 1-888-692 5515.
We're standing proud together. For Canada. I'm Colin Mockery.
I'm Deb McGrath, and we're making serious changes to the way we shop.
Like this tube of toothpaste, made in Canada.
Yeah, made in Canada, but it's not toothpaste.
Really?
It's cheese spread in a tube.
Oh, I'll take 2 then.
Let's protect Canadian jobs and Canadian business.
Shop as if your country depends on it. Keep your money in Canada for Canada.
Are you wondering where you should market your grain? Look no further. Bridge Agri Partners specializes in the marketing and distribution of premium products that's focused on food and feed. Bridge Agri Partners are buyers of all grades of all pulses, cereal grains, and oil seeds, servicing the pet food, animal feed, and human consumption markets. With over 75 years experience, they can offer top-notch service and adapt to different growers' needs. What are you waiting for? Call 306-850-7999. Bridge Agri Partners.
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center, July 7th. With special guest, Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit shaniatwain.com.
Rocky Mountain Equipment is celebrating RME Day at your local branch on March 26th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Head down for a free lunch, exclusive in-store specials, branch tours, and be entered for door prize giveaways. RME, right by you.
Welcome back to Sportscage. Connect with the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262.
Tonight in Brandon, the standings are going to change in the Western Hockey League's Eastern Conference. Because as it sits right now, going into play tonight, Prince Albert is in first in the East with 80 points. Brandon and Saskatoon are tied for second with 79 points. Saskatoon is in Brandon to play the Wheat Kings. So after tonight, you could, well, unless this ends in a, no, well, even if it were ended a tie, like we could have, anyways, something's changing. And that 2 spot in the Eastern Conference is important because if you're the Blades, it avoids, I think, a date with the Calgary Hitmen. And if you're the Brandon Wheat Kings, like, yeah. So that's tonight. Red Deer's at Calgary, Wenatchee's at Kelowna. Medicine Hat's leading the way with 94 points. Right now, PA 80, Calgary 92, Lethbridge 87. If the playoffs started today, it's Medicine Hat Swift, Prince Albert Edmonton, Calgary Saskatoon, Lethbridge Brandon. Now the Blades and the Raiders will play this weekend, and I saw online there's already 8,000 tickets sold at Sask Place. And they had the seating map up. There's not going to be many left. This is an interesting race. Pats will wrap up the season. Friday, they are in Brandon. They could play spoiler. And then Saturday, back here to host the Wheat Kings to put a bow on the 2024-2025 season. Colson, Al, now you guys are younger than me, and I'm old, and I don't do this stuff. And social media, we use it, but it's not the tool like for the younger generation. Have you, or does anybody in your friend group ever do those baby announcements online where, like, you know, they'll hit the golf ball or pop the balloon and there's like the blue smoke or the pink smoke for a boy or girl?
Not for me. I haven't seen it. I know it's popular in TikTok, so yeah.
I personally have not participated. My brother and sister-in-law cut a cake when they were having their my now niece. Sure. The very simple, like, also
okay.
Yeah.
But they do that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, keep in mind, my dad's a retired fire chief, so we're not going to go over the top with anything because it wouldn't fly in his house. So,
okay, well, I know, but you have like 16 brothers and sisters, so a pink cake, essentially. They cut in the cake. Oh, it's going to be a girl. Great, yay! Somebody was videoing it for their. Okay, yeah. So I just saw on Twitter that Tyreek Hill and his new wife just put out an announcement that they are going to be having a child, another child. This is going to be Tyreek's 13th child. There's different moms, but yes, this would be child number 13 for Tyreek, who has had, this would be the 5th in the past year alone. Wow. There's moms, baby mamas, as the kids would say, involved. That's a lot. Elon Musk, who's in the news. Here's the thing. Nick Cannon used to kind of be the benchmark bar for having like 9 or 10 kids, a couple with Mariah Carey and then a bunch with others. But then there's a guy who's in the news a lot. His name's Elon Musk. It's come out that with a woman that it's his 12th or 13th child with, I think, 4 different moms. So between Tyreek Hill, Nick Cannon, and Elon Musk, they're keeping Babies R Us in business. And if you get invited to one of those showers, bring a nice gift, Coulson. You could bring the Prinker blue cake, if that's a thing.
Like you mentioned, I have a lot of siblings, so I'll be attending a good number of these in the near future.
Speaking of the NFL, the rules committee, all the general managers and teams getting together saying, hey, listen, this is what we like, this is what we want to change. A lot of teams want to ban the tush push. The Minnesota, it was the Packers who want to see it gone. So they put forward to the league that and you know what? I think we've had enough of the tush push. You got to get in on your own. Like, because it was almost becoming too automatic for Philadelphia, and it's taken sort of the pizzazz out of the game, or like the suspense out of the game.
I don't really agree. If you can't stop it, it's kind of on them. It's kind of similar to when Montreal Alouettes and the punt. You know, like you kick it like an inch and resets the first down.
Oh yeah, kick it over the line of scrimmage and hop on it and get a first down.
Yeah, so
probably the big.
Up to me, if you can't stop it, like that's on you. Like that's like I don't think it should. Yeah, my opinion.
The Detroit Lions have submitted probably the most drastic proposal, a change to the playoff seeding. This is funny. Why? Because they got roasted on it this year. Because what they're saying is, regardless of division standings, for example, if the Minnesota Vikings 14-3, Washington Commanders 12-5, Green Bay Packers 11-6 were wild card teams last season, despite owning better records than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 10-7 and the LA Rams 10-7, who won their divisions. The Vikings, Commanders, and Packers would be seated higher than the Bucs and the Rams under the proposed change. Hey, listen, well, if you don't win your division, whose fault is that? It's not Tampa's fault that they play in a crap division and you can win your way in at 10-7. You know, or the AFC West was awful at 10-7. So what do you, if the Lions wouldn't have got schooled by the Commanders, do you think that they were seeing this from them at all? I say no.
Yeah, I don't know. They want to make real changes every year, right? So I can see the logic behind it, but the NFL playoffs are already such a kind of mess of things. I don't know how much more you want to keep changing things.
Listen, if the Detroit Lions would have won the Super Bowl this year, like if they would have, ended up following through with, the regular season that they had, you're not hearing a peep out of the Detroit Lions. They got no suggestions to the rules committee. They got no anything. But since they lost, and this is their chance to do that. Hey, you know what? So it's been a busy show. So we're gonna Chopper Hippie, who is going to be part of the CFL Combine. Dave Thomas had a chance to chat with him. We're going to do that next. If you missed any part of the show, we had Dave on in the first hour. We had Eric Francis, who saw a Broadway show today, and he was off to a nice dinner. He's in New York City. And we just had Travis Ridgen on from Slang of the Biscuit podcast. You can catch those Apple, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts, including sportscage.com. And this is a Sports Cage. Barney's back in tomorrow with Sharky. They are live at the Connexus Arts Center for the Regina Rams 56th annual dinner. John Randall, NFL Hall of Famer, is the special guest speaker tomorrow night at the dinner, but we will have him and Mark McConkey confirmed on the show tomorrow with Barney. Sports Cage is back tomorrow, 3 o'clock, right here on 620 CKRM. Have a nice night.
Who's really on Saskatchewan's side? The Liberals? They imposed a carbon tax, clawed back our healthcare transfers, and canceled pipelines. The NDP? Jagmeet Singh always took Trudeau's side, keeping him in power so he could get his pension. Your Conservative MPs fight the carbon tax, support Saskatchewan's energy workers, and defend our health payments. Only Conservatives are always on Saskatchewan's side. This message brought to you by Andrew Scheer, MP for Regina Qu'Appelle.
The team of experienced farmland real estate agents at Shepherd Realty in Regina has just listed for sale 3 quarters near Wynyard, 2 quarters near Woodrow, 2 quarters near Liberty, and 5 quarters near Bengoff. To learn more, see the team at Shepherd Realty. Or if you're considering selling your farm or ranch property, contact Shepherd Realty in Regina at 352-1866. shepherdrealty.ca.
Give your crop the best chance for success with Power Rich Fertilizer. Here's agronomist Shane Lacusta.
Right source, right rate, right time, right place. These are terms that you hear in the industry. We believe in and honor these values since our company's inception 40 years ago, delivering you a high-quality product that is right for you and your bottom line. Isn't it time you tried Power Rich Fertilizer?
Call Power Rich Fertilizers today, 1-800-663-GROW, or visit PowerRich.com. The future is right in front of you, if you're ready for it.
Right now, get 30% off with a Crave Premium 6-month plan and start streaming exclusive HBO series like The White Lotus.
We should always live like this.
The new season of The Last of Us, premiering April 13th.
What did you do?
I saved her. Hit Canadian original, The Trades.
I want to make things right.
And the blockbuster, Venom, The Last Dance. Let's go! Get 30% off with a premium 6-month plan. Offer ends April 20th. Terms apply. Learn more at crave.ca/spring offer. Crave, endlessly entertaining.
Olympic Buildings is looking for post-frame building crews to construct their post-frame buildings. This can be from any part of the province, and they'll pay better than industry average. To talk about getting your company to construct their buildings, visit olympic-buildings.ca.
Outfit your spring adventures with Bass Pro Shops. Whether you're casting your first line this season or looking to level up your hiking boots, we've got everything you need to get outside and explore. See more at basspro.ca.
Text CKRM 306-936-6262. Powered by Prairie Land Rentals. They've got everything you need for your projects. 600 Albert Street. prairielandrental.com. Welcome back to Sportscage. Get social with us. Follow us on X at Sportscage. Watch our video stream at sportscage.com and always on the radio at 620 CKRM.
The countdown to the Canadian Football League Combine continues. We're pleased to be joined by Regina Rams linebacker Chopper Hippie, hailing from Lloydminster. And, of course, the biggest question we have to ask off the hop, Lloydminster, Saskatchewan, or Alberta, or does it even matter?
Well, when I'm in Regina, I say I'm from the Sask side, but when I played Edmonton, I said I was from the Alberta side. But I'm actually born and raised in the Sask side. I have a birth certificate or driver's license from Sask side, so Sask side, I would say.
So when you were playing with the Edmonton Wildcats, then it was the Alberta side.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I like to flip back and forth, but.
Hey, that's okay. You're in a border city. You're allowed to do that. But let's go back to the start of the conversation, Chopper Hippie. Your name mentioned in the same sentence as participating in the Canadian Football League Combine. What does that all mean to you?
It's just a tremendous privilege. I mean, when I was a kid, I've dreamed of being a part of this and this huge company and all the other legends. Just to be in that class is just something else. And it's kind of everything to me. This is everything I've wanted. So it's kind of just awesome to be here and kind of get the invite to the National.
At what point did you discover your love of football, and how did you start to grow to the point that you are at now?
Discovery of love was the first day I went out there. I mean, I actually started early. I played the PB League in Lloyd started at 9 years old, and I cried and asked to join at 8. My dad was the president of it, and so I've always loved it. And then just as the years have gone on, it's just every time I get a little bit better, it's is it a real possibility to go to the CFL? And then I actually got my offer from the U of R, and that was kind of eye-opening for me. Hey, I can really take this somewhere. So yeah, Regina kind of opened up the doors wide open for me, but it's always been back there for sure.
You know, you've been the benefactor playing with that organization, the Huskies in Edmonton, and of course the U of R Rams program with a lot of great coaches around. What have they done for your development?
And everything. Like not as only as a football player, but as a person. Like our culture kind of like it's about changing people and like change people in the right direction, and hopefully it just leads to the field. And yeah, so like just kind of following our values over the years, and it's just changed me as a man, and really it's changed me as a player too. And I can't thank Gray, Mark, and Bruce, and the whole crew enough.
So as you get set for the Canadian Football League Combine, Chopper, what have you been doing to prepare? How has that gone?
We've been training with Jake Easton here. He's our trainer at the U of R. He's been doing a really good job for us, like making sure we're hitting our like proper runs and getting our good lifts in, and just kind of improving in our own weaknesses. We're trying to reinvent the wheel and stuff that we already do here, because we've seen some like success in the past with it, but just kind of fine tune what I need to change in my body to help me like succeed. So yeah, no, we've been doing really good. Just lots of running, lots of lifting.
Well, you've probably heard this before, but there's a lot of people impressed with the way you do change your body. They talk about your physicality and then the body makeup and composition that you have. So you talked about changing it. Do you have to change it year over year in your U Sports career? And then do you change it as well for making sure that you can perform at peak performance levels when it comes to the drills that you'll be put through at the Combine?
A little bit over the years, I'd say so. More of a change. Like coming in, I think I was a little closer to like 210, 215, and now I'm close to like pushing 230. And like hopefully, like my goal when I came in was just kind of put 5 pounds of muscle on each year and kind of slowly trend up that way. And then for the Combine, yeah, just kind of feeling out the situation. If I'm running like a little bit slow while I'm heavier, maybe cut down a little bit. But no, I feel pretty good in my body. We haven't changed like too much, but just kind of stack on what I've been already doing.
When you add that muscle, obviously you don't want to take away any speed. Have you seen any changes in that?
No, I feel pretty good. Like I've kind of had this theory and like kind of like training theory of like muscle, like the muscle will move mass. Like the more muscle I can have on me, the better I'll be moving. You know, I just got to work on the flexibility of myself, and that's just kind of stretching, keeping fine-tuned with that. As long as I can move and be big, that's the goal.
Obviously, we humans are creatures of habit, if you will, and in your U Sports career, I'm assuming you want to hit your peak. You want to be ready to go come week 1 so that you're at your very best for the entire Canada West football season. Have you had to try to reestablish a peak so that you hit your peak performance levels at the end of March?
Change your training, like your training's kind of changed. It's a lot like the periodization is a lot like shorter and stuff like that, just because we are going to be hitting peak a little bit earlier. But we've kind of adapted this new, like we're not so linear in what we do as much as like we are now. Like because now we just kind of want to be full-time football players. Like we're practicing quite a bit more and stuff like that. So just being ready to play football at all times is kind of the goal. But yeah, I've definitely had to change a few things just to make sure I'm peaking here, like getting that extra work in so that I'm peaking in March and not in August, because there is like those 3-4 months where you can kind of fine tune some things there over the summer and stuff like that. So
the Canada West football season was a success for your team last year in winning the Hardy Cup. Things didn't go your way in the national semifinal. Has that changed your approach at all from year to year, how maybe you've approached an offseason in the past with the Regina Rams?
Sure. Like, I think in the past, there was always this goal of, like, wanting to get to, like, that Vanier and get to that Hardy. But then you're also kind of chasing a goal that you don't know, like, you don't know the field already. You've never been in the playoffs. And so, like, we didn't get in the playoffs in my second year. And so, like, kind of, like, you're chasing the knowing, like, chasing nothing essentially, but you don't know. But for last year, like to actually be in that environment, to be in those games and be 3 points away from winning the semifinals and probably putting up a pretty good game against Laurier, like definitely made me a lot more hungrier. I mean, a little bit colder on the inside, I think, but that's just part of the process of losing, and you learn a little bit and got to win this next one.
Your head coach, Mark McConkey, talked all last season about how your team was underrated and disrespected, and you were out to prove everyone wrong. And I think in a lot of different ways the team did that. As an individual, can that motivate you? And maybe bringing it back to the Combine, you look at the list of athletes that you're on, there's no way that you're an underdog. So does this play into anything at all?
Consider myself an underdog, you know, like not unless I'm the number one guy, like on everyone's draft boards, I'm going to be considering myself an underdog. So yeah, for sure, I kind of go in with that chip on my shoulder every day, and just like just got to be the best and trying to just strive for the best. And yeah,
A lot of players that we've spoken with as we count down to the CFL Combine, Chopper, have talked about the support system that they have with various teammates and alumni and the coaching staff that they can draw some knowledge from when it comes to preparing for this event. Have you done likewise?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I've definitely talked to, like, Ryder Varga. We were coaching flex football down in Florida, and Anthony Bennett's from there, and he was actually down there, so we talked to him a little bit. And then, Tanner Schmeckel actually texted me, a couple days ago, and he was like, hey, man, if you have any questions, let me know. So, yeah, and then all the coaches have gone through the process 100 times, and even our trainers trained a few guys that have gone to the Combine. So it's kind of having those guys beside me, and kind of, when things are kind of going tough, you just learn to lean on them so much, and then they kind of help you kind of pick you up again, because it's a roller coaster. Some days are good, some days are bad, so just kind of battle that and use them to kind of lean on when I need to has been kind of tremendous for me in this kind of Combine, really, the stress reliever, I'd say.
Stress is a big word, because when you talk about stress and of course pressure maybe that is associated with stress, those are negative sometimes. I know mental performance coaches have a big say in athletics today. Does that mental athletic or that mental approach have to change, or have you worked on it? Is that part of the preparation for the Canadian Football League Combine?
I've usually been pretty good with the pressure. The stress of the due dates is kind of a change, I would say. But this is everything I've ever kind of wanted. I've always wanted to be here, so it's there's a lot of pressure for that aspect. But this is everything I wanted, so don't be too nervous about it and just kind of enjoy it at the same time, right? I'm going to the CFL Combine. It's going to be a privilege. I'm going to be playing against some of the best players. I'm going to get better after. So there's a lot of takeaways that can kind of be positive, and that's kind of what I look for. I just kind of look for the pros and kind of just ignore the cons, especially when it gets to the day. Say if I run a bad L drill or something like that, there's nothing I can change about that. So you just got to go forward and change what you're going, change what you're going to do going forward.
Chopper Hippie, is joy an emotion that you can have right now? Can you enjoy this process?
Oh, for sure. I think I think I'll enjoy it more once I get there. Right now, it's been kind of nose down and just keep grinding. But I could definitely have some fun with it, and especially going to East West, I think is a big help in that, because knowing a bunch of the guys going to the Combine now, I've played with Daniel Flanagan twice now. I played with him at East West, played with him at U18, playing with Devin and all those guys, kind of making those connections. So it'll be fun to kind of see those guys again and kind of compete with them again and kind of be a crew.
Awesome. The last question: the interview process. Have you prepared for it? What do you expect from it? And are you looking forward to it?
I've prepared a little bit. I've watched some of the past interviews and stuff like that, but I think it'll be good. I think you just gotta stay true to your character. I try not to be a bad guy, so just go in there with a good attitude and keep your head up. And probably gonna get some shade thrown at me for a couple of plays that I had last year, but that's okay. Like I said, man, football's a roller coaster, and you just gotta be able to ride it and just kind of tell them about what you're going to do to change that, because clearly it was a bad play, but there's other plays that I've made that have been good too, so it's just kind of lean on those and kind of just refine what we're doing.
Well, Chopper, it has been a pleasure watching you over the past seasons, playing with the Regina Rams and the Edmonton Wildcats, and it's going to be fun to see your progress as we move closer to this CFL Combine. Thank you so much for taking time for us, and we wish you all the best.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for having me, and appreciate it.
My record-breaking Eras tour is wrapped. I think it's time to start my eyewear era. Could use a new pair.
You're in luck, Tay. Future Vision's in their 2-for-1 eyewear sale era. Right now, we can get the latest, hottest styles at a great price and get the second pair free. Let's head back to Saskatchewan. 2 pairs for you, 2 pairs for me.
We'll never be out of style.
Future Vision. Where'd you get those? All right now, Future Vision's a proud recipient of the Consumer's Choice Award 2024.
Come join an